Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building.
But do y'all remember the charges against the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch? His name is Michael Jeffries, and he was indicted about 1 month after Diddy for very similar charges. The Fed said between 2008 and 2015, Michael Jeffries, his romantic partner Matthew Smith, and a third guy named James Jacobson coerced dozens of men to travel all around the world for parties under the guise that participating in these parties could lead to modeling opportunities at Abercrombie and Fitch. Not participating in these parties could hurt their modeling careers. The Feds say there really were no modeling opportunities. It was just a way to get them in to the parties. At times, before even being admitted to the parties, the Feds say that some of the men were required to have tryout sessions with James Jacobson by himself. Now, according to the Feds, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson had a secret staff they paid to facilitate NDAs,
y'all been seeing anything about this? Shout out to everybody in the building. Continue to double tap that screen.
And they also had staff that they paid to act as security at the parties by man. I'm not a lawyer, but do y'all remember the charges against the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch? His name is Michael Jeffries, and he was indicted about 1 month after Diddy for very similar charges. The Fed said between 2008 and 2015, Michael Jeffries, his romantic partner Matthew Smith, and a third guy named James Jacobson coerced dozens of men to travel all around the world for parties under the guise that participating in these parties could lead to modeling opportunities at Abercrombie and Fitch.
So this is about what y'all was asking me yesterday about the Abercrombie and Fitch dude.
That not participating in these parties could hurt their modeling careers. The Feds say there really were no modeling opportunities. It was just a way to get them in to the parties. At times, before even being admitted to the parties, the Feds say that some of the men were required to have tryout sessions with James Jacobson by himself. Now, according to the Feds, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson had a secret staff they paid to facilitate NDAs, conduct background checks, monitor and intimidate anyone who threatened to sue them. And they also had staff that they paid to act as security at the parties by man. I'm not a lawyer, but do y'all remember the charges against the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch?
Lord have mercy,
his name is Michael Jeffries, and he was indicted about 1 month after Diddy for very narcotics and other supplies to the men at the parties, as well as to direct the men on the things they should be doing during the parties. And at the end of the events, the men were paid. So as a result of this, Jeffries, his partner, and the third guy were charged with 1 count of trafficking and 15 counts of interstate pay-for-play. Well, the update on this is that earlier this month, a judge ruled that 80-year-old Michael Jeffries is unfit to stand trial on these charges. He was evaluated by 3 doctors, and the first 2 noted in their report that it was their professional opinion within a reasonable degree of psychological and psychiatric certainty that Mr. Jeffries is not competent to proceed in the current case and cannot be restored to competency.
Yeah, what y'all think about that?
The doctor concluded that Mr. Jeffries is currently suffering from a mental disease or defect, which renders him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him and properly assist in his defense. Jeffries reportedly suffers from Alzheimer's, and as a result of these findings, the judge ruled from entry and exit to provide alcohol, narcotics, and other supplies to the men at the parties, as well as to direct the men on the things they should be doing during the parties. And at the end of the events, the men were paid. So as a result of this, Jeffries, his partner, and the third guy were charged with 1 count of trafficking and 15 counts of interstate.
Wow.
Well, the update on this is that earlier this month, a judge ruled that 80-year-old Michael Jeffries is unfit to stand trial on these charges. He was evaluated by 3 doctors, and the first 2 noted in their report that it was their professional opinion within a reasonable degree of psychological and psychiatric certainty.
Look how he weaseled his way out of there, y'all.
That Mr. Jeffries is not competent to proceed in the current case and cannot be restored to competency in the future. The third doctor concluded that Mr. Jeffries is currently suffering from a mental disease or defect, which renders him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him and properly assist in his defense. Jeffries reportedly suffers from Alzheimer's.
So basically, he get to play crazy, right?
And as a result of these findings, the judge ruled from entry and exit to provide alcohol, narcotics, and other supplies to the men at the parties, as well as to direct the men on the things they should be doing during the parties. And at the end of the events, the men were paid. So as a result of this, Jeffries, his partner, and the third guy were charged with 1 count of trafficking and 15 counts of interstate pay-for-play. Well, the update on this is that earlier this month, a judge ruled that 80-year-old Michael Jeffries is unfit to stand trial on these charges. He was evaluated by 3 doctors, and the first 2 noted in their report that it was their professional opinion within a reasonable degree of psychological and psychiatric certainty that Mr. Jeffries is not competent to proceed in the current case and cannot be restored to competency in the future. The 3rd doctor concluded that Mr. Jeffries is currently suffering from a mental disease or defect, which renders him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him and properly assist in his defense. Jeffries reportedly suffers from Alzheimer's.
This is crazy.
And as a result of these findings, the judge ruled entry and Michael Jeffries to be hospitalized for 4 months to see if his condition improves. If it doesn't improve, Michael Jeffries may not go to trial for these charges. If this case sounds vaguely familiar, it might be because I did make a video, or maybe because it was cited in one of Diddy's motions for bond. In that motion, Diddy's attorney points to Michael Jeffries as a guy with similar charges and similar money, and yet he was granted bond and Diddy was not. The judge in Diddy's case denied that motion, which is why Diddy is still locked up while his trial is currently proceeding. Michael Jeffries to be hospitalized for 4 months to see if his condition improves. If it doesn't improve, Michael Jeffries may not go to trial for these charges. If this case sounds vaguely familiar...
That's crazy, ain't it, y'all? You know what I'm saying? So basically, you know, the Abercrombie Fitch dude finna most likely get off, you know, because they're ruling that he is incompetent to stand trial, y'all. That's crazy. I'm gonna let it run one more time without me
I'm not a lawyer, but do y'all remember the charges
all the way
against the
through.
former
Here y'all
CEO
go.
of Abercrombie and Fitch? His name is Michael Jeffries, and he was indicted about 1 month after Diddy for very similar charges. The Fed said between 2008 and 2015, Michael Jeffries, his romantic partner Matthew Smith, and a 3rd guy named James Jacobson coerced dozens of men to travel all around the world for parties under the guise that participating in these parties could lead to modeling opportunities at Abercrombie and Fitch, and that not participating in these parties could hurt their modeling careers. The Fed say there really were no modeling opportunities. It was just a way to get them in to the parties. At times, before even being admitted to the parties, the Fed say that some of the men were required to have tryout sessions with James Jacobson by himself. Now, according to the Feds, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson had a secret staff they paid to facilitate NDAs, conduct background checks, monitor and intimidate anyone who threatened to sue them. And they also had staff that they paid to act as security at the parties by I'm not a lawyer, provide alcohol, narcotics, and other supplies to the men at the parties, as well as to direct the men on the things they should be doing during the parties. And at the end of the events, the men were paid. So as a result of this, Jeffries, his partner, and the 3rd guy were charged with 1 count of trafficking and 15 counts of interstate pay-for-play. Well, the update on this is that earlier this month, a judge ruled that 80-year-old Michael Jeffries is unfit to stand trial on these charges. He was evaluated by 3 doctors, and the first 2 noted in their report that it was their professional opinion within a reasonable degree of psychological and psychiatric certainty that Mr. Jeffries is not competent to proceed in the current case and cannot be restored to competency in the future. The 3rd doctor concluded that Mr. Jeffries is currently suffering from a mental disease or defect, which renders him mentally incompetent to the extent that he is unable to understand the nature and consequences of the proceedings against him and properly assist in his defense. Jeffries reportedly suffers from Alzheimer's, and as a result of these findings, the judge ruled Michael Jeffries to be hospitalized for 4 months to see if his condition improves. If it doesn't improve, Michael Jeffries may not go to trial for these charges. If this case sounds vaguely familiar, it might be because I did make a video, or maybe because it was cited in one of Diddy's motions for bond. In that motion, Diddy's attorney points to Michael Jeffries as a guy with similar charges and similar money, and yet he was granted bond and Diddy was not. The judge in Diddy's case denied that motion, which is why Diddy is still locked up while his trial is currently proceeding. Michael Jeffries to be hospitalized.
That's crazy, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So he might get off on these charges, man. Double tap that screen. We got 118 people and only 22 likes. All you got to do is double tap the screen of your mobile device or click those 3 dots and hit that like button, man. We just getting started, y'all. We just getting started. All right, so that's what y'all asked me about yesterday with the Abercrombie and Fitch dude, you know, who basically looks like he's about to beat these charges because he's going to plead crazy, y'all. They saying that he is incompetent to stand trial. Check this out.
I'm Diddy, your dad gonna walk, bro. They ain't talking about nothing in court. Yes, sir. Young Diddy, your daddy looking like he gonna...
That's the one that look just like Diddy, y'all. Ain't that which one is that? Is that Christian or Justin?
walk out of there, bro.
I think that's Christian Combs. Double tap that screen,
Young
y'all.
Diddy,
Get the
your dad
lights
gonna
up.
walk, bro. They ain't talking about nothing in court. Yes, sir.
That boy look just like his
Diddy,
daddy.
your daddy looking like he gonna walk out of there, bro. Young Diddy, your dad gonna walk,
Yeah,
bro.
calling him Young Diddy. Hey, man, we need more likes. Get the likes up, y'all. Get the likes
Diddy,
up.
your daddy looking like he gonna walk out of there, bro. Young Diddy, your
Young
dad
Diddy
gonna
is
walk,
crazy.
bro. They ain't talking about nothing in court. Yes, sir. Young Diddy, your daddy looking like he gonna walk out of there, bro.
So whoever this guy is that's filming, he got confidence.
Diddy, your dad
Diddy
gonna
gonna get
walk,
out.
bro. They ain't talking
But it's amazing how much that he looked just like his daddy. That ain't his daddy's son. That's his daddy clone.
Nothing in court. Yes, sir. Young Diddy, your daddy looking like...
Young Diddy, Lord have mercy, Jesus, y'all. We just getting started, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's get those likes all the way up, man. One of Diddy homeboys basically talked about this trial as well. Check this out.
People are watching this right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's assume they're open. They only know this guy as the superstar that he is, and you know what they have heard about him. That he was having these parties, he was bringing people in from all over the place. Some of them wanted to be there. The allegation is some of them didn't want to be there, or they were sexually abused by him, and they couldn't say anything because of how powerful he is. Okay. What do you want them to know about the man that you know?
He didn't bring anyone in. If he was following the case, and I'm pretty sure you have, Chris, Cassie brought the people in. Cassie, that's what she did. So a sex worker never said that Sean brought them anywhere, did anything. And as far as being scared,
this the dude that be out there and all the puffy girl with the puffy hat and the free puffy shirts.
That just mind-boggling.
One of Puffy's long
Everybody
time
was willing,
friends.
consenting adults. And this is what his defense team is going to show and prove.
Hold on, I'm gonna let it come back.
People are watching this right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's assume they're open. They only know this guy as the superstar that he is, and you know what they have heard about him. That he was having these parties, he was bringing people in from all over the place. Some of them
let's get the likes up to 100,
the
guys. Double tap that screen.
Didn't want to be there, or they were sexually abused by him, and they couldn't say anything because of how powerful he is. Okay. What do you want them to know about the man that you know?
He didn't bring anyone in. If he was following the case, and I'm pretty sure you have, Chris, Cassie brought the people in. Cassie, that's what she did. So a sex worker never said that Sean brought them anywhere, did anything. And as far as being scared, that just mind-boggling to me. I don't believe that at all. Everybody was willing, consenting adults. And this is what his defense team is going to show and prove.
Yeah, so his homeboy feel like Puff is gonna get up out of this, man. You know what I'm saying? He said everybody was consenting adults, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Basically, hey man, they knew what they signed up for and they were willing participants. Let him tell it. All right, so we got on another situation, we got Flo Rida, y'all. Flo Rida done bumped into a bunch of money. Flo Rida, it says Flo Rida drinks Celsius after winning an $82 million lawsuit against the beverage company for breaching his endorsement deal and failing to pay him what he was owed, y'all. Flo Rida just got $82 million. Lord have mercy, Jesus.
I just want to say God is good in Jesus' name. I want to thank the jury, Judge Haynes, my attorneys, Kelly Ustall. I just want to say God is good in Jesus' name. I want to thank the jury, Judge Haynes, my attorneys, Kelly Ustall.
$82 million, y'all. You know what I'm saying? They might be having him up in the courtroom next if he ain't careful. You know what I'm saying? An $82 million settlement, dog, for Flow Rider. That's Mr. Apple Bottom Jeans Boots with the furs. Yeah, he done got him $82 million. He ain't got to make another record, y'all. He ain't got to make not a damn another record. You know, he basically set for life, y'all. Hey, that guy right there is doing super good, man. No cap. All right, some of y'all know this lady that I'm about to show on the screen. I think she got a hit series going on with those two I'ma just say mental girls. Y'all know I'm talking about her right here. Y'all know what I'm talking about? This is her right here. Hold up. It says that, oh no, Aunt D shares that her son is missing after authorities suspect he jumped off a bridge. Rescue team currently searching for his body. I'm trying to hold on. He texted me a message, Mama, you been the best. I love you. So apparently, you know, her son that took himself out the game, y'all. This is crazy.
Hey, I'm out here with the rescue squad. Hey, y'all pray, Chris. Y'all, I'm out with the ambulance. Everybody out here, they trying to find my child. And Chris deals with severe PTSD and anxiety. And y'all know what and so y'all.
Prayers for her, man.
I'm trying to hold on, but my child jumped. I was driving after I get through work, and I was on YouTube, and I saw as I go home, it's a bridge, and I saw my son's car right there, and I said, "That's my son's car." And I said, "That's my son's car," and I saw the police, and I saw this man. He's severe. So we've been out here. They're trying to find him. They're trying to find my son. Because I put two and two together. I was on my way back home, and my car right there next to Chris' car. And I said,
IGT says they said he yelled, "Help me," as he was falling. Lord, have mercy. Prayers for her, man. It's crazy. Yeah, I guess he did. But I seen another report that said that they did actually recover his body, man.
I know my son probably done jumped. And he text me a message. He said, "Mama, you've been the best mama. You got so much on you. I love you, Mama." And he texts each individual that he was close to.
What's up, Blue Fox?
Y'all
get them likes up for your
boy.
boy.
For ID. Y'all know this my alley. I'm trying to hold on, y'all, but they trying to find my son right now, y'all. Y'all help me, Lord. Y'all help me. You see all the police, y'all, everything. Y'all, they trying to find my baby, y'all. But,
wow.
Yeah, Dad, what's going on? Yeah, I'm talking to my people, huh?
I'm trying to ask you, has anybody locked his car? Is his car locked? Did you check it?
Go my car up there, too.
But I'm saying, you into that?
I don't know if his car locked. I know, and my car up there, too. You know what my car is? My car right there next to Chris' car.
Absolutely, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe, and if y'all are new, and most definitely double tap that screen, man. We got to get the likes all the way up. We 454 deep and only got 40 likes. Let's hit that like button, y'all. Get the likes up. Double tap your screen, most definitely. Double tap that screen, y'all. All right, so we got Tory Lanez looking to be released as he gets backing from a congresswoman, y'all. It says Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna shares evidence supporting Tory Lanez's innocence, y'all. She said he innocent. She says Tory Lanez has filed a direct appeal, hate, whatever that word is, petition, and successive, whatever that is, all now consolidated by the California Court of Appeals. They have seated a panel. Oral arguments are coming. This case is far from over. Due process matters, she says. Then she goes on to say Tory Lanez was sentenced to 10 years despite having no prior record, largely due to a firearm enhancement law now under scrutiny for racial bias. Black defendants face 92% higher rate of this enhancement. That's not justice, that's discrimination. She says the forensic evidence in Tory Lanez's case was deeply flawed. 0.01% chance his DNA was on the firearm, 0% on the magazine, no fingerprints. DNA from 4 individuals found. Tory wasn't a primary contributor. Key gunshot residue tests never performed on others. This raises serious doubt. She also goes on to say, newly surfaced body cam and medical records show Megan Thee Stallion initially claimed she stepped on glass. ER records show no bullet fragments or x-rays. Bullet fragments allegedly removed are now missing from evidence. Handling was a disaster. She goes on to say, under California Racial Justice Act and recent litigation limiting the use of rap lyrics and character evidence, Tory Lanez deserves a full review. His conviction was built on outdated and unconstitutional grounds, y'all. Hey, she's most definitely putting it out there. She says Tory Lanez's trial included prosecutorial misconduct, exclusion of mitigating factors, use of protected speech, rap lyrics, tattoos as evidence, witness contradictions, immunity deals with unclear motives. This is not how justice is supposed to work. She goes on to say key witnesses changed their story or contradicted themselves. One admitted in court she lied in a DA interview. Another gave a sworn statement that Harris admitted to firing the weapon. This case deserved fresh eyes and full transparency. She goes on to say Tory Lanez's conviction and sentencing raised major constitutional concerns. First Amendment, use of lyrics as evidence. Sixth Amendment, right to confrontation. 14th Amendment, equal protection under racially biased enhancements. These issues demand urgent review. It says justice isn't served when due process is ignored, evidence is mishandled, race plays a role in sentencing. Tory Lanez deserves a fair hearing, and if justice prevails, he deserves his freedom. Free Tory Lanez. That's what Rep. Anna Paulina Luna had to say regarding Tory Lanez. Continue to double tap that screen. Most definitely get them likes up. We are most definitely in the building, y'all. DJ Akademiks spoke out about Tory Lanez. Check this one out.
The easiest way for Tory to get out, and I'm talking straight, Chad. I'm really talking straight. There's some people that believe that Kelsey and Tory, they fuck with each other still. Or not like that, but Tory may have paid for Kelsey's lawyer. Kelsey got immunity. They can't convict her of shooting Meg. If she came out and said, bitch, I did it, Tory walks free today. She won't go to jail for that, but she's still gonna go to jail because of perjury. That's why she was tripping up on the stand. They felt the prosecutors knew this. They were like, "Oh, you trying to take up for Tory after we gave you immunity? I bet we're gonna ask you questions that if you ever change a statement, you're going to jail." She not finna go to jail for Tory. I think the play all along was for her to motherfucking.
Oh, so Kelsey could potentially go to jail if she changes up her story. They gonna hit her with perjury. Okay, Act.
Get immunity. And eventually go up there and be like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I shot that shit. But the state knew, like, you gave her immunity. If she does that, your case is so fucked and you look stupid.
Lord,
so
have
what they
mercy.
did was they asked her so much shit that if she ever changes her statement, and that has to be used in court, and now she has to re-swear to this new thing or submit an affidavit. Instant perjury. Instant perjury. Yeah, Fruit Jams in the chat, what up? The easiest way for Tory to get out, and I'm talking straight, chat. I'm really talking straight. There's some people that believe that Kelsey and Tory.
What y'all think? Do y'all think that that Tory deserves to be free, man? With all this new evidence that has came out, man. They most definitely are talking about it, man. When it comes to Tory Lanez. All right, so let me know in the chat what y'all think. We got another story. Gilbert Arenas' son was recently almost burnt up, y'all, inside of his Tesla Cybertruck. Gilbert went on the podcast and most definitely blamed the Tesla on what happened with his son. Check this out.
Long story short is, the car, malfunctioned on him. The steering wheel went limp and, ran right into a tree. But
yeah, so those windows are bulletproof. He couldn't break the window.
He couldn't break the window.
And so he was stuck in a car that was on fire.
Yeah, and I had to, I had his phone, got his phone. So
we need 40 more likes, y'all, to kick off the show. Please double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you new.
I seen
40 more likes, man. We got to get the likes up.
that,
Get them to 100.
people are like, oh, he fell asleep. I'm looking at, he's on the phone, right? He's on the phone with 911. I'm trying to get that call. He was on the phone with them for 10 minutes. So I know he was at least in the car for 10 minutes, right? And, it's, once he started, talking and, doing all that, just realized he couldn't break the window, start doing all the back search on the car. And, it's, if you're a parent and your teen has this car, you might want to put a hammer in that joint, something that can break the window, because physically not strong. Long story short is, the car, malfunctioned enough. He said he was trying to kick the door, the window, and he couldn't. Damn. And I said, I told him, I said, man,
Hey, check this out. It's 283 people in here, man. We should have the likes to 100 like that. Please double tap that screen, y'all, if you haven't done so. Hit the like button for your boy, man. Get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. It's way too many people to only be having 67 likes, man. Let's get the likes up. It's easy. Double tap your screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots that you see in the corner and hit the thumbs up, y'all. Get the likes up.
Just be honest with you, because, when he got home, we had flowers for him. And I gave him that speech. I said, listen, you're a lucky one.
What's up, Mad Dog?
To see this. Most people don't get to see the flowers and how everybody reacts when, something.
Shout out to So Blessed for being a member for the last 8 months. She say we in this. Yeah, absolutely.
Happened. So you get to witness what the world did when you was
25 more likes. I got faith in y'all, man. Y'all can do it. Double tap that screen and click those 3 dots. Get the likes up. And if y'all did know, we most definitely hit 26K. We in the building.
Sleep when you was in an induced coma. He said he was trying to kick the door, the window, and he couldn't. Damn. And I said, I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna just be honest with you, because when he got home, we had flowers for him. And I gave him that speech. I said, listen, you're a lucky one to see this. Most people don't get to see the flowers and how everybody reacts when, something happens. So you get to witness what the world did when you was, sleep, when you was in an induced coma. He said he was trying to kick the door, the window, and he couldn't. Damn. And, I said, I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna just be honest with you, because, when he got home, we had flowers for him. And I gave him that speech.
That had to be terrifying for that young man. To be trapped inside that Tesla, and it catch on fire. Haven't we most definitely heard other stories about Teslas catching on fire and people not being able to basically get out, causing a whole bunch of accidents, man. It's crazy. But here go to what's the name. It says Arenas reportedly released from hospital after being placed in medically induced coma following a car crash, y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, y'all. $100 truck just catch on fire, man. Prayers for Gilbert Arenas and his son, man. Real talk, man. I'm glad he was able to make it out of that situation, because most people don't get to make it out that situation, man. Did y'all know that Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying, Joe Biden was diagnosed with a aggressive form of prostate cancer, y'all. Old Sleepy Joe is in the fight for his life, man, after being recently diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, man. You know what I'm saying? Old Joe, man. Hey, man, this is Everything News. We most definitely cover everything, so forgive me if I'm jumping back and forth, man. You know what I'm saying? I most definitely got a lot of files over here I want to get to. All right, check this one out.
Join the rubber.
This is Cassie's mom, y'all. Y'all know she took the stand today in the Diddy trial. Basically put Diddy on ice, man. This is Cassie's mom right here. For y'all who haven't seen her before, say that she gave a very powerful testimony that we gonna get to in a minute.
Assistant Tour, what's your message to other young women out there, to other mothers who might have daughters that are in situations like Cassie?
Mr. Tory, we with you.
So listen, I want to walk in the course and
Support you. Support your daughter.
We need 15 more likes, y'all. 15 more likes.
I'm going to just bring him in there so you come right outside. Yeah, take your time, bro. Whenever you get right out front of the government, the 26 bed, tell me, and then I'll bring them out.
Join the rubber.
Cassie's mom, y'all. I know that must have been a hard thing to do, you know, get up there and take that stand, y'all, and basically testify in a court trial, man. Let the lady breathe, Lord. Cairo, I'm just saying, man, they was all over. They most definitely had a ton of questions, y'all. We need 12 more likes, man. 12 more likes, and we'll kick it off. All right, so for some of what happened in the Diddy trial today, let's jump over here. We got Tisa Tales, y'all. She most definitely broke some of it down. Let's go.
Something happened with the stream. What happened? My phone went dead. I was running late today. I only had like literally 56% when I left out the house. But I have a backup charger, so we are back. So listen, let's get into part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, we were talking about what happened with Diddy and the Punisher. That's a Smex worker. It was revealed.
All right, so one of the workers most definitely came out, you know, and spoke. Called himself the Punisher. Come to find out, this dude done had some kind of enhancement surgery for his area, y'all. I said, what in the world? They got enhancement surgeries for men now? Lord have mercy. Thank God I wasn't one of them people who needed that. I was blessed from birth. I'm just saying. But yeah, you men, y'all, if y'all are lacking, you can now go get an enhancement surgery, you know, to basically beef you up. Wow.
That Diddy was literally having Cassie call him his mama's name during the mess. Let's get into this. So what happened? It was let's speed up and get back to part 2. Cassie opened the door. She was just wearing a bathrobe. Diddy came out to meet the guy. Wouldn't say a word, but was from the neck down, wearing a burqa or kimar on his face, and he had a bottle of in his hand. So
Lord have mercy.
Crazy, right? Diddy would direct them to do everything. Again, this is laying ground for the Rico. Diddy would be directing this man to
We need 8 more likes. Get the likes up, guys.
Do this.
Shout out to Lives Everywhere for that,
Cassie was not
for that
involved.
gift.
They also said that Cassie, he said that Cassie looked like she wasn't even really enjoying herself. She would sigh or roll her eyes or do something to let him know that she wasn't really fully into it. They said Diddy threw...
We got 380 people in the building. Why don't we have enough likes, y'all? Double tap your mobile device screen or click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you are new, man. We need more likes. Get the likes up.
Money on the bed, threw money on the bed right now, right? And then Cassie was startled, and so was the guy, because he said he was being mad aggressive. And Cassie was like, "Are you okay?" And Diddy was like, "Yeah, put the money on the nightstand, and that's the money that they would pay this worker with, right?"
Diddy say he put the money on the nightstand.
He literally asked Diddy, "Are you okay? Because this is weird." They said that Diddy was always the director of the Smex acts. He would demand that they do oral sloppy toppy. He gave them specific times to interact and how to interact. And get this is the one good thing. They were using condoms, and Diddy at one time took the condom and threw them aggressively in their faces. So much they were both
say Diddy took the condoms and threw it at him and told him, "Hey, if you want to work for Diddy janitorials, shut the hell up and get to work."
And said, "Yo, I'm ready to see you her," right? And they said every time it would be so weird because, again, this goes into the wrinkle about whether Cassie was actually an active participant or whether she was just under Diddy's control, okay? Whether they were just under Diddy's control. So what happened? They said Diddy just out of the blue. He'd be like, arch your back, move to left, move to right, this and that. They were both like, it was like.
Diddy was in there being a whole corn director, man. More to the left, more to the right. Get off of us so close. Back up a little bit. We want to see it all. We can't see nothing. You know what I'm saying? Dim the lights. Turn the lights up. You know, Diddy was in there orchestrating the whole ordeal, man. Like he was on a corn site or something.
Boring for them, right? Then Diddy would randomly be like, cut, pause, tell them to stop. He would leave the room. Cassie would follow him out, right? Diddy would actually sometimes just put a hand up to let Cassie know, like, oh, okay. Cassie would follow them out. Cassie would notice, call a time out, and then she would return minutes later. He said, so listen, so Diddy was like, oh, so she was enjoying it? She was into it? He was like, no, not at all. Cassie actually didn't look like she looked like she wasn't enjoying it. She said it was more like we were creating a scene. It was more like
Cassie looked like she wasn't enjoying nothing that was going on, according to the Punisher. Man, what kind of name is that? Your boy done went and had surgery, and now he calls himself the Punisher. Lord have mercy. Ladies. Cassie was locked in the room with a man that called himself the Punisher. Lord.
Like we were working, right? He said it looked like it was like
What's
a little
up, Monty?
fetish. She said the directions were so specific, right? And again, they were like, well, why do you think Cassie wasn't enjoying it? He said because Cassie would sigh and wince all the...
My bad, y'all. We most definitely back, man. I don't know why it keep on doing that, but it keep on doing that, and I don't know why. But we should be back now. I may have to unzoom a little bit. Hold up. Let me see how we looking over here. We back, y'all. All y'all have to do is tell me when to do that. I most definitely bring us back, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold up. Let me get us right over here again. Hold up. What's up, Toya? Let me get us right again. My bad, y'all. I be losing so many viewers when this thing freeze. Ooh, it be making me mad. You know what I'm saying? Be having me aggravated and upset. Hold on. Let me get it right. I gotta get it right. I'm gonna most definitely let it continue. Hold up. All right, let's go. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Oh, much your girl Christine, but no, he said candles, not camera. Sorry. He said the directions were specific. Cassie would sigh or wince. Cassie would act like she was fed up, like she was just working. And they said that Diddy's directions were super random, right? And they said based on the noise and size.
If it happens to freeze, y'all let me know. I'll bring it back.
Would say to his approximation that Cassie didn't look like she was enjoying it. He said all the direction was coming from Diddy. Cassie, and both of them, Cassie and nobody, they were supposed to be enjoying it. They would just be looking to the side, seeking cues from Diddy on what to do. She said Cassie was always seeking cues for Diddy for what to do. And when Diddy wasn't giving cues, Cassie would just stop and wait for Diddy to give cues. Again, does this not sound like does it sound like she was having the time of her life? No, it does not. They also said that he said, listen, I was trying to create a sexy scene. Me and Cassie both were. Diddy was always looking. They responded accordingly.
What's up, Josiah?
Now, they did say that, he also said, did Cassie ever tell him no? They said, no, Cassie never told him no. She always did exactly what he told her to do. They were
Cassie never told them no, y'all. She always did exactly what she was told to do.
What about the drugs? Were you on drugs? And he was like, no, I actually don't do drugs. He said, I don't even do weed. I actually pretended like I did, but I didn't. So they asked him. He said he never smoked. He said he didn't ever do drugs. This is the Punisher. He said Diddy never took in. He said he never saw Diddy take anything in front of him, and he felt nervous around Diddy. So he had performance issues. Now here's the thing. When I heard that, I said, Punisher, you're not slick. You're trying to sell your book. He does have a book. The book is called In Search of Hard Meat, Freezer Meat.
The Punisher done went and wrote a book, guys. He got a whole book coming out. No cap, y'all. Check this out. Hold up. You know what I'm saying? I most definitely got something on them talking about his book as well. Look. It says a male worker reveals he wrote a book about his failure to be able to get it up. mentions instance he couldn't perform in the freak off with Diddy and Cassie. Book title, In Search of Freezer Meat. A story of a male health crisis caused by not being able to get it up, and the only true cure no one is talking about. Oh my goodness, implant, y'all. This is the Punisher right here. Lord have mercy. He looked like some out of movie or something, a villain or something. You know what I'm saying? His name fits him right. You know, the Punisher. Lord have mercy, Jesus, man. Wow. You know what I'm saying? This is wow. The Punisher, y'all. That's him. Let's get back to it though.
We'll get to it. I'll promote this book, right? He said he better get his money, right? Anyway, he said that he had performance issues. He said with Diddy watching, it was very, very yuck. There was Cialis around, there was Viagra around. He would even take corners for pills.
Cialis, Viagra, he was on it all, y'all, trying to get that surgery meat to work.
Anything to try to see if we can get it up. It just didn't work with Diddy just lurking around. Yucky. Blue Light said, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Blue Light. Also, Dorothy Chambers, what's up? Happy birthday, Didi. Said, Tisa, this is my friend's sister. I got her hooked for you.
Shout out to Tisa Tells.
Shout out. And Pink said, what is your cash app? My cash app is Tisa Tells. $, Tisa Tells. And my PayPal is Tisa Tells too. Okay, so let's get into this, right? Thank y'all guys. So they said, when was the last time? They said, when was the last time you were with them? He said, the last time I was with them was in April of 2015. March of 2015. He said that, like, literally, they were always interacting on the couch because Diddy would be like, yo, rub here, do this, do that. They said they were always interacting on the couch. Then he would throw the condoms at him. And then he would be like, yo, I'm ready to do this, right? But he said that he couldn't perform, sadly enough, okay? And Diddy would be like, yo, I'm ready to see you finish. He couldn't perform. He said Diddy was mad, aggressive. They were super startled because they wasn't used to that aggression. And he struggled because of that to get in a,
to get it up.
When that couldn't happen, Diddy would get mad, leave the room, Cassie would finish. They tried to tell him to finish, he couldn't, and then they would just return to pay him money. The last time he saw them, Cassie said, listen, I really want to thank you, and thank you for being so discreet.
The Punisher. You know, how you gonna be the Punisher and your stuff don't work? I'm just saying.
In that thing. And he said that, thanks for that. He said thanks for the discretion. And he said that was the last time he saw him, and he really felt bad because he felt like he didn't do a good job. Anyway, they started talking about his book. So he has a book on ED where he gives genuine medical advice in a relatable way to help other men. He said it's personal and funny. He mentions the encounters that he had with Diddy and Cassie in about 6.5 pages.
Lord, slow down, Tisa. Tisa does talk rather fast.
The whole book is 182. Now listen, the defense was trying to make it seem like they want to use the book as like a gotcha moment, but he said, no, I described Diddy as a married, wealthy couple. He said, but the book really speaks to the anxiety. He did tell a few friends about his experience with Diddy, but he said you can't really take what
we 383 deep, y'all. Take time to double tap that screen, get the likes up, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you new, man. We on the road to 27K. We need all the subscribers we can get.
Wrote in the book about Cassie and Diddy, the married couple, because it was sensational, right? When he put it together, he lied about Cassie being satisfied and enjoying herself, right? The name of the book is In Search of Freezer Meat. So if anybody needs it, In Search of Freezer Meat, right? And it shows the highs and lows.
I already told you, thank you.
Dealing with Nikki Ballard, thank you so much. You guys, listen, thank you so much for the cash apps. There's a daily limit to how many cash apps you can get. So every time I reach my limit, Cash App says no. Apparently, they somehow think that there's embezzlement happening with Cash App. But I do have my PayPal. And of course, I do have Super Chat. But every 24 hours, it resets. Cash App, I don't know what's going on with Cash App. They got too many people sending too much things. Anyway, they said Cassie was he referred to them as powerful, rich couple. He says he's now an owner at Humplemania. That is a club he used to work at. He usually wears underwear and G-string when he was with Cassie and...
Yeah, say he was wearing underwear and G-strings. Lord have mercy, man. A man in a thong, man. Stop it.
Diddy, he said it's professional. He usually doesn't sleep with people. He just dry humps a woman. Listen, they said Cassie's... so the defense was like, so this was Cassie's call on whether you got let in, whether you would sit and talk, whether you would use baby oil, right? And he was like, yeah, no, it wasn't Cassie's call. Cassie was doing this on Diddy's behalf. I could clearly see this. He also said, right? Cassie would say, oh, I'm gonna call you again. And he was like, yeah, but Cassie...
Yeah, he most definitely was dry humping, y'all. He was saying he was doing his little jig with his clothes on. He wasn't used to having to perform his jig without his clothes on. Dry humping, that's what that means. Dry humping means, you know, there was no actual, you know, the word I'm looking for.
He only called me to hire me. And they were like, oh, but you were in love with Cassie. Didn't you develop feelings? He was like, no, that's incorrect. I mean, we did this, but there was no feelings there. He said he did feel special because, like, you know, he could perform. But he said he met with the government several times. There was nuance in every time he talked to the government. And he said he's not an escort, but he is, he creates erotic scenes. He creates erotic scenes. Now, if you guys don't know, my girl was sitting there and she was like, no, I think you don't have...
Toya, we most definitely was dry humping in middle school. My grandma used to call it goosing. You know what I'm saying? That's where you do it with your pants up.
Prostitute charge because he wasn't a prostitute. But at the end of the day, if I don't say I'm a prostitute, but when I show up, you give me the cash and I make that thing go, you know, put that leg up, make that thing go, then what are you really, you know? They kept harping on the fact that you said one time Cassie had it. You said one time Cassie enjoyed it. You said. To which I was like, okay, but even if she did, what does that mean? This is getting in the great defense where it's like if somebody, you know, makes a climax during great. It used to be America was like, oh, you aren't really a great victim. The fact that your body might betray you, even when you're in something that you don't want to be in, that doesn't mean anything. They are using draconian measures of what it means for a woman to enjoy anything. Y'all know about that? It's just draconian. Anyway, listen. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Listen, you guys, let me get out of here. I'm gonna go home. We are going to do another thing. I'm gonna do another live because I have a lot more notes. But don't forget, the one takeaway is the government actually pulled out the choppers, all those AR-15s that Diddy had in his house with the serial numbers.
Oh, they done pulled out the straps on them, you know what I'm saying? With the ones without the serial numbers to show how violent Diddy really is. Continue to get those likes up, man. We 300 deep. We ain't even got 150 on that like yet. Hit the like button, man. All you got to do is double tap your mobile device or click those 3 dots, man. Make sure you subscribe into the channel, man.
With the serial numbers filed off, they pulled it out. Doris Dannings, thank you so much for the super chat. And SP said, be safe, beautiful superwoman. Is Diddy still giving you dirty looks? You're amazing. What you do? No. Diddy stop turning around giving me looks because Diddy got bigger problems than a YouTuber. Whoopi said, when Diddy's looking at you, hope he's not thinking of his next freak off. You better not be, please. Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much for the super chat. Hold on really quick. Let me just answer this. Okay, and also really quick, Mimi, Caillou, thank you so much. Anyway, you guys, listen, let me head out of here. I'm gonna go live later. There's so much to talk about. I'm gonna make some standalone videos too, okay? And shout out to Shirley Harper at The Hollywood Reporter. Definitely have to, listen, there's so many people I have to link up with why I'm in New York. Listen, do you have your passport? Do you want to come to America?
Lord
anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk y'all later. All right, bye.
All right, y'all, that was Tisa Tales. You know, basically telling us a little bit of what was going on inside of the courtroom today, man. If y'all don't know, the Punisher, as well as Cassie's mom, took the stand to basically talk about everything that Diddy was doing as far as to Cassie and the freakouts. Tisa just told y'all they pulled out the choppers and presented that as evidence in the trial today. Yes, yes, yes. It is a lot going on, man. We most definitely hit 26K today. Shout out to everybody that subscribed to the channel, man. Most definitely don't stop subbing, because it don't stop there. We on the race. We trying to get 100,000 subscribers, the fastest. So we need all the subscribers we can get. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. We most definitely about to get this thing underway, man. Let's see where we at. Make sure you subscribing to the channel, man, if you new, man. Out of all them people, man, you know, only like 50 people subscribe. Continue to subscribe to the channel, man. Let's get to the whole situation. All right, so once again, we got well, this time we got Chris Cuomo here. Hold on, let me turn this down. We got Chris Cuomo here. You know, I showed y'all a little bit earlier of him interviewing Diddy's friend that's outside the courthouse, you know, with his free Diddy shirt on, you know, and free puffy hat. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely said he's been a long-time friend of Diddy's. Let's see what exactly he had to say to Chris Cuomo over at News Nation about everything going on before we get into the proceedings of today. Let's go.
Okay? Combs' friend of more than 35 years. All right? The idea that you don't know somebody after that amount of time is an impossibility. The question is, will he be truthful? Charlucci Finney, it's good to have you.
I got a picture of him and Diddy together in their younger days, whatever his name is. He got a crazy name, but he most definitely spoke about this whole situation, y'all.
How you doing? I'm doing well. Appreciate you taking the time.
There you go.
By what you're wearing, that you are a strong supporter indeed of Diddy, as you have been since this first started. First, respond to this main idea. Sean is...
Hey, y'all, we got to most definitely work on this like button, man. It's 355 people in the building. We got 137 likes. Look, y'all, it ain't hard, man. Look, hold on. It ain't hard. All you got to do is double tap your mobile device or click the three dots in the corner. Hit the thumbs up, man. It's easy. It's so easy, a fifth grader can do it. Come on, y'all. I got faith in y'all. Get the likes up.
Rough, he hits women, and you do what he says or he will punish you. And that's why Cassie and others were not willing participants at the freak-offs. What do you make of that suggestion?
Like you said, it's a suggestion. And that don't make it a fact. That just make it a suggestion, like you just said, my friend.
Why isn't it a fact?
Because it hasn't been proven that's a fact. It's a suggestion. Someone said something, right?
Say, man, you know what I'm saying? I don't look no kind of blaze, turn, flip, none of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't do any drugs, bro. What you see is me looking down at the screen so that I can see what y'all saying and what's being presented on the screen. That's the only reason my eyes look like this. My eyes are always like this. Get used to it, man. I look any kind of way. Looks can be deceiving.
You have to follow behind it, and you have to hear two parts to it. So what you're saying is what this was heard. That's it. There's no facts to it.
What's up, Jim? Now,
but you tell me from your experience,
right?
Was the Cassie a one-off, or is your friend somebody who's got a problem with hitting women? Did he make people do things they didn't want to do? You would know the answer, Charlucci.
Okay, so a one-off. I don't even know him to hit women. That's one, right? And after what I've seen, right?
Hey man, you too late to be saying that Diddy don't put his hands on women. We most definitely seen the footage. He most definitely did it.
My friend was in a toxic relationship with another person that was obviously toxic. Based on what we're seeing, they both admitted to doing drugs, right? And I can't say one off. Anyone that's enough. Hitting one person is enough. So it's not about 3 and 4 and 5, 6 and 7. One person is enough. And nobody should put hands on nobody. A man should touch a woman. A woman should not touch a man, especially in a violent manner.
And you're saying you never saw him hit any women?
Never.
You must didn't watch that video we all seen, dog. Hey, man, stop the cap, man. Stop the cap. Diddy most definitely put his hands on women. Shout out to the only 123 for that $10, man. Most definitely appreciate it. He say A1 content all day, sidewalk gang. Man, you know we in there. We in there only 123. And right now, we got Diddy's homeboy, you know, longtime friend, you know, basically talking to Kumo about what's going on in the Diddy case.
Yeah, that people.
I'm a father.
Go ahead, please, Charlucci.
I'm a father of two daughters, right? So I wouldn't be here wearing this shirt if I've ever saw any one of my friends, especially him, hit a woman, and it would never happen.
Bro, stop saying that. You sound crazy. You seen that footage of the hotel just like we did, and you heard Diddy's apology saying that he most definitely did these things. So stop saying you wouldn't be his friend if he did that, because once you seen that video and once he came out and apologized, you knew that he did that type of thing. What's wrong with this guy, man?
And I've never seen it, never heard it, and seeing it, yeah, it was a lot to take in, but I knew that wasn't him. It looked like, you know, like I was saying, drug-induced, high, or whatever you want to call it. But that's not the Sean that I know. That you see.
What's up, Christy?
The idea that the freak-offs, people had to do it because they were afraid of Sean Combs.
I don't believe that. They were consenting adults. I don't.
Boy, we most definitely almost turned him off, because we almost don't even want to hear nothing else you got to say, because you ain't being real, bro. You ain't being real. You playing games. Oh, I didn't know he did it. You seen the video just like we did.
How you gonna make a ex-worker fly in town or come to somewhere and leave unharmed, unscathed? Like I've never heard of nothing like that in my life. These sound like willing participants.
How do you? Have you been in touch with your friend while he's been in custody?
Yes, I have.
How is he holding up during this process?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot, because he's worried. He's concerned about his family. His children, his mom, his sisters, his nieces, and his nephews. Like he's just focused on getting this behind him.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we got 467 people in the building. Continue to hit that like button, man. Double tap that screen. We should be already in the 200s, y'all. Double tap your screen. Get the lights up. What we doing, man?
When the feds are coming after you, they rarely miss. How burdened is he?
He's talking about before the video. I understand that. But once he's seen the video, he should have just been, like I just said, he's talking now after he's seen the video. So he didn't ask him, basically, if Diddy was a woman beater before the video. He just asked him, basically, did he know him to be one? So if he's seen it, which we all seen the video, and heard Puffy apology, then he knows he is one. That's all he gotta say.
That if they want to get him, they're going to get him. And how does he process that?
It have to be something to get. You have to have sex trafficking. You have to have racketeering. All I've been hearing is domestic violence. That's all I've been hearing.
Has he talked to you at all about what happens if they make the case and he loses?
No, he's not thinking like that. We stand prayed up. That's what we're doing. We stand prayed up, and the evidence is going to show that he's not guilty of these crimes that they're alleging.
He said the evidence is going to show that he's not guilty of any of these crimes. All right.
Not having those mind games of what happens if I'm in here for the rest of my life?
He's not thinking like that. Well, I think like that. You would have to actually do the crime to do the time, right? So we 1,000% are in belief, and we know that he's innocent. They have to prove them charges.
So people are watching this right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's assume they're open. They only know this guy as the superstar that he is.
Thank y'all for the congratulations on the 26K, y'all. I look to keep elevating, so continue to keep subscribing and hit the like button. Man, look, man, it's 450 people in here, man. We need 200 likes before I start rapping. And y'all don't want to hear me rapping. Y'all better get to tapping that screen.
And you know what they have heard about him.
Shout out to you, Christy, for that
he was having these parties. He was bringing people in from all over the place. Some of them
run them off,
wanted to be there. The allegation is some of them didn't want to be there, or they were sexually abused by him and they couldn't say anything because of how powerful he is. What do you want them to know about the man that you know?
About to start rapping. Swear to God, I'm trapping. Get the likes up. Get the likes up. Just double tap the screen. Don't make me have to scream. Man, get the likes up. What y'all doing, man? Double tap that screen, man. What's going on?
He didn't bring anyone in. If you was following the case, and I'm quite sure you have, Chris, Cassie brought the people in. Cassie, that's what she did. So a sex worker never said that Sean brought them anywhere, did anything. And as far as being scared, that just mind-boggling to me. I don't believe that at all. Everybody was willing, consenting adults. And this is what his defense team is going to show.
What's up, Cynthia?
Charlucci, I appreciate you coming on to give this perspective. It's important for the office, for the audience. And you know how to get us if you have anything that you want to say.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
That was Diddy, good line and friend. You know what I'm saying? That was Diddy, good line homeboy. You know what I'm talking about? He most definitely ain't tell the truth the whole time. You know, I don't care what none of y'all say. Y'all talking about he said he was talking about the Diddy that he knew prior to the video. No, he just asked that man if he knew that Diddy was a beater, and that man tried to say he didn't know, like he didn't see the video that everybody else in the world seen. Get out of here and stop the cap. But I know somebody ain't gonna play with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? As always, I know somebody that ain't finna play with Diddy, not 1%. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And we about to fly over here for some of the details from today. And when I say I know somebody that ain't gonna play with him, y'all let me know in the chat who y'all think I'm talking about. You know, when I say we finna review somebody that ain't finna play with Diddy, not one bit. I'm looking to see if y'all know. Penny say, let's go Nancy. She got it right off the rip. Yeah, man. One person I can say that don't cut Diddy no slack is Nancy Grace, man. Lord, she be on Diddy top, man. He wrong even when he right dealing with Nancy. We most definitely gotta get to it. Yeah, it's Nancy, man. I ain't talking about no Suge Knight. I ain't talking about none of them other people. I'm talking about Nancy. She most definitely gonna tell it how T.I. is. Let's go.
Obama ecstasy habit. This as he launches an other woman defense. Straight out to the courthouse, standing by Lauren Conlon, who's been in the courtroom throughout the day. Lauren Conlon, investigative reporter and star of Pop Crime TV. Lauren, thank you for being with us. What happened in court today?
It's been an eventful day so far. We finished up the direct examination of Diddy's former assistant, David James, and the cross, and we learned a lot about Diddy, a lot about what he had his assistants do. Something that David James spoke about was advancing room locations, and this includes anything from a green room at the Ellen Show.
I ain't even tripping. About to dunk on you like my name's Scottie Pippen. You better hit the like button. 15 more likes. I ain't finna sit here and say it all night. Get my likes right. Got me real hype. Man, if y'all was in person, we would have to fight. A left and a right. And a jab. Yeah, I ain't tripping, man. I'm still rolling slab. Hit the Av. Yeah, pop the trunk. Yeah, they got me tripping over here, man. Hit the like button. What we doing, man? You know what I'm saying? Let's get the likes up. Double tap the screen. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even at 200 yet, and we've been over 400 this whole time. Get the likes up, man. We need 8 more likes. Yeah, before I get mad. Start acting bad. Yeah, get the likes up. 5 more. Yeah, man, I'm asking nicely. You know what I'm saying? Now you're making me have to demand it. Yeah, might pop the trunk. Yeah, you don't know what pop the trunk is, boy? You must ain't never been to Texas. Yeah, we still rolling Cadillacs. I don't care about a Lexus. Diamonds on my necklace. Still riding reckless. Yeah, hit the remote. Screens in the headrests. Yeah, what you talking about? Got girls in short dresses. Yeah. I'm the best, they all confess it. Yeah, we almost there. One more like, and we'll start the show off. I ain't got all night. Let's go. Yeah, man, God, dog. It don't even matter if it rhymes. I'm just saying anything, because, man, y'all got me messed up. All y'all in my bushes watching my show and won't hit my like button. Man, what did you hear for then? Let's go.
To a hotel room. Now, what was interesting about this hotel room?
Let's go. Chastity say she got her short dress right now.
For Diddy. And by the way, Nancy, he testified that Diddy would request Jell-O and applesauce. Apparently, he put applesauce on his cheeseburgers. But he would also get things like baby oil, Astroglide, and condoms. And when he would pick up...
But let me get serious. One thing that we keep on hearing about is baby oil and Astroglide, man. That was a necessity for Diddy. No matter where he went, no matter where he was at, he needed baby oil and Astroglide. Diddy was a sick freak.
Things like these, he would not expense them through Bad Boy. He would get cash as reimbursement.
Elizabeth, don't ever forget, just because I ain't got my hat on, you know, I'm still making YouTube great again. I'm the Trump over here. I deport you the fastest. You know what I'm saying? Don't come in here playing with me unless you want to see a mass deportation situation. Let's go.
And
look, I just said it. Hold up. This is some of the stuff they brought out in court. They had the Astroglide and the baby oil. Look, there go the baby oil. They got a lighter, some pills, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of cream, probably for the herpes, you know, and Astroglide. Diddy was a sick freak.
Get cash as reimbursement. And he also said that he would set out all Diddy's toiletries, which, as you mentioned, included sometimes via...
Look at Miss Fat talking about you never made love with no oil. Man, fortunately, my people ain't never needed no oil. You know what I'm saying? They was slippery and wet off the rip. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no oil, you know, when your girl functions correctly. So yeah, I don't know nothing about I don't need no oil.
Viagra or just for men.
My people got that natural oil. You know what I'm saying? It's called wet.
We also heard that something that I found was very shocking. David James was forced to take 2 lie detector tests when things went missing. Jewelry, at one point, a bracelet of Cassie's. And then we heard, we actually saw Diddy smile at one point when David James described being at a Diddy party and doing something called Diddy bopping. I don't really know what that was, but it made Diddy laugh. And at this party, David James described that he was off, so he attended a New Year's Eve party. He stole an ecstasy pill from Diddy. He was having fun. The next day, Diddy called him into his office.
Why y'all got me over here cutting up, man? Y'all know what time it is. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, we don't need no oil over here, man. We good. You know what I'm saying? We good over here without no oil. We don't need no oil. Ain't never had that problem.
Because apparently he took video of all his party. He saw David James and said, hey, were you on drugs or were you on ecstasy? And David James says, yes, I was. And apparently...
I ain't gonna block you. I'm gonna just tell you I'm most definitely not no form of cap, man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no capping over here. You know what I'm saying? We gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm the captain of this boat.
Said to him, well, I'm gonna keep this or I'm gonna hold this just in case I need to. We also heard David James testify about an incident that he had with the chef, this chef that we're supposed to hear from. But David James said that Diddy, reprimanded him because David James had an altercation with the chef. And Diddy said something to him like, listen, if you touch a woman again, you're getting fired.
So how, originally, Lauren Cullen, how did Cassie Ventura's mother discover that there was a sex video of her daughter?
Man, that's a cold lick for your mama. You know what I'm saying? To know that you on tape, you know what I'm saying? Doing all kind of sick stuff with many different men. I wonder how mama looked at her like that. I bet she looked at her with that look in her eye like, you just nasty.
Well, it was Cassie's email on the BlackBerry where she said, he's threatening to release these sex tapes. And her mom said she was very confused by this, but she was also very worried for her daughter, as well as the physical threats as well. So, she kind of said we had no choice.
What do we have here? We have some text messages. Let me blow it up. Let's see what y'all can see. Let me see what y'all can see over here. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all get to see everything that's in this text message, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold up. Let's see what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? These are the text messages, I guess in between Cassie and her mom. Let me make sure I got everything where y'all will be able to see it. Hold up. I got to make sure y'all know I'm looking at my iPad and working this phone all at the same time. Hold up. Let me see if I can get it all in the screen. That ought to be all right there. The threats that they have made towards me by Sean Puffy Combs are that he is going to release 2 explicit X tapes of me on one on Christmas Day, maybe before or right after, and another one sometime soon after that. He also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott physically. He made a point that it wouldn't be by his hands. He actually said he'd be out of the country when it happened. Lord have mercy, old Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Threatening her. She done sent the email to her mom, y'all. Oh wow, let's go. Let me see where we at over here and make sure we still on the screen. Let me look over here, see where we at. See if we'll go. I put it right on the money. Let's go.
We wanted to protect our daughter, so we sent this money that we didn't really have. And those are my words, paraphrasing, but yeah.
Well, isn't it true, Lauren Conlon, that Cassie's mom had to mortgage their home to come up with $20,000 to, keep the sex tape from going online?
So Diddy threatened to leak this tape out to everybody if Cassie's mom or Cassie didn't come up with $20,000.
Yes, and there was a big discussion this morning before the jury came in about whether or not this was relevant, and clearly it was.
We are also learning a lot about the, quote, other woman defense that is emerging, and it's all about a woman named Gina. But first, Sydney Sumner, I have to ask about Sean Combs. One of the favorite pills he would carry in his Louis Vuitton stuff is Viagra and horse trank and Plan B birth control pills is Obama ecstasy, and I in no way am suggesting
that took me out. So basically, they saying that Diddy's favorite thing to take was pills, which were X with Obama's face on it. Call it the Obama pill.
Either former President Obama or his beautiful wife Michelle used ecstasy. What is Obama ecstasy?
So David James testified that there were various...
That's that presidential right there. That's that presidential pill, man. I'm just saying. What's up, Black?
...pills, but one was in the form of a former president's face. The prosecutor had to ask him which former president, and he responded, President Obama. So James claims that Combs carried around ecstasy pills in the shape of Obama's face. Why? I could not tell you.
Okay, Shooter.
Hey, say bro had a pharmacy in his bag. He most definitely did.
Calling in the expert. A Louis Vuitton bag, I can't get away from this, stuffed with Plan B birth control, horse trank, ecstasy, cocaine, Viagra, needed a lot of Viagra, sperm count pills, and Obama ecstasy. What?
When I heard that, my head exploded, and I thought about it. And having worked with Puff, I know that he, even though he's a big star, he also is a big fan. There's people that get on his radar that he becomes obsessed with. When I was working with him, it was Prince Harry and Prince William. After I left, it sounds like he moved on to President Obama. But he has these obsessions.
Your boy had that bag full. He had X pills, he had cane, he had Tootsie, he had Viagra, he had Cialis, he had a pump, he had everything. Lord have mercy.
This people he wants to be like, people he respects, people he fears.
What's up,
and so
roller
I'm not
skater?
surprised
Texas
here
girl, what's
that
up?
He didn't outgrow this. His man crush changed from the princes to a president, but nevertheless, he has people that he gets very, very obsessed with.
We have just received an urgent missive from the office of veteran defense attorney Mark Garagos. No doubt about it, he's a great lawyer. His daughter, Tenny Garagos, is one of the lead defense attorneys for Sean Combs, and they want us to clarify a statement said yesterday that people were paid.
Lex say he say Diddy is the real 69 God. Let's go.
Wear free puffy t-shirts, $20 an hour. Wait, they're saying it's false that Combs' public relations people paid anyone to wear the...
All right, so y'all know there was a big discrepancy the other day. I most definitely put it on my thumbnail where they said that Diddy was paying people $20 an hour to wear those free Diddy shirts, where Diddy's team has came out to say that is not true. All those allegations are false.
The t-shirts. Well, who is paying them? Listen.
Yeah, they just tried to pay me $20 to wear a free puffy shirt.
Stop.
I knew.
That's her. You know what I'm saying? This lady right here was the one that said that Diddy and them was paying them $20 an hour to wear that shirt. Let's see if we can see her. Let's blow her up. Hold on, let me run her back. This lady right here. Can y'all see her? Drop a one in the chat if y'all can see her. You know what I'm saying? She is the one, you know, that basically said they are getting paid $20 to wear free Diddy shirts, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Lord have mercy, Jesus. Well, Diddy team done came out and said, nah, not so fast. You know what I'm saying? We ain't paid y'all nothing. They saying that this lady right here is a complete liar. I'm just saying.
They just tried to pay me $20 to wear a free puffy shirt. Stop.
She said they tried to pay her $20 to wear a free puffy shirt. That's crazy when they give you money to put it on.
I knew, I could tell, because the lady right there, she just kept convincing me to go wear a shirt, and I'm like, I'm good. That's what. So just $20, and if you guys you need $20, all you have to do is wear a free puff shirt.
Yeah, I would have told them I need 5 of them junks. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put on 5 of them shirts. You know what I'm saying? I need 5 of them junks. $20 a piece. Oh, that's $100. Yeah, give me 5 of them.
And you said no. Yeah, I said no. Did they say how many hours? $20 an hour. And she told me
$20 an hour, y'all. You know what I'm saying? $20 an hour, man. Look, I would have been free Diddy'd up. You know what I'm saying? I would have tied one around my head. I would have put one on. I would have wrapped one around my waist. I'd have put one on my ankle. I'd have put one on my wrist. I'd have made sure I had free Diddy everywhere at $20 an hour. I'm just saying.
I paid like $60 yesterday for standing out there in 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Rob Shooter, PR guru, they're concerned.
I'm just saying
that it's been stated that Combs' PR team paid people to wear the t-shirts. I would think that the missive would say, he didn't do this, he's not guilty. Why are you saying this? But instead it's like, it's completely false. Mr. Combs' public relations people paid anyone to wear those t-shirts. Do you see the problem there, Shooter?
Yeah, it's a really complicated, silly thing for them to do here. It tells us that of all the stuff we've heard, all the horror stories, all the testimony, all the facts, this is what they want to focus on. Whether or not a PR team paid somebody to wear a t-shirt, which is not that unusual in the music business, maybe in the criminal justice.
We need more likes. Double tap that screen. Get the likes up, y'all. We've been stuck at 219 for a minute. Get the likes up, y'all. Double tap that screen. Click those 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up, man. You know what I'm saying? Support the channel by hitting the like button. You know what I'm saying? One of y'all ain't gonna do it. It's too many people here. You know what I'm saying? Double tap that screen. Get the likes up. Don't be a hater all your life, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't be one all your life. Let's go.
The system, but this is their priority, and I have to ask why? Why is this, of all the things we've heard, why is this the most important?
Joining me, veteran detective Chris McDonough. He is the director of the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective, former vice detective, and you can see him now as the star of The Interview Room on YouTube. Chris, thank you for being with us. You know, so very often when you start a felony investigation, like you may start a homicide investigation, right? But then it's a many-headed hydra. You start and you slay the first head, and then suddenly another head. For instance, extortion. And then another head of the beast, forcing someone to get an abortion. And then another, and another, and another, and another. Are you surprised that one person is allegedly responsible for so many evil and despicable acts?
Not at all, Nancy. I mean, we're looking at a situation where this is a one-man RICO case. And of course, it always comes back to that power, domination, and control over anybody in his environment. And if we look at this writer concept, right, that they should just actually call it a riser concept, because everything in that bag pointed towards his power and control over any sexual activity around him. And so it's total emotional manipulation to everybody that comes into a circle.
We are live with the latest from the federal courthouse in Manhattan in the case of Sean Combs versus the U.S. government. Rob Shooter, we heard on the witness stand testimony that in one beating, and this came from Carrie Morgan, Ventura's former friend, Cassie fell on a brick of some sort and...
Fell on, how you just fall on a brick?
Passed out. Was actually passed out, got knocked out cold, right? That's serious. That is a concussion when you actually are passed out. But instead, focusing on that, they're angry that there are not Johnny Depp or Luigi Mangione crowds outside the courthouse. Is that a tiny bit misplaced?
Oh, it's absolutely foolish. It's really foolish behavior, but it also talks to the ego of the gentleman that is paying them. Puffy has a very, very fragile ego, and that will really hurt his feelings. Boo-hoo. He'll be really upset about these reports, particularly if these reports are true. A couple of days ago on your show, Nancy, you talked about how his private parts were allegedly very small. That will hurt Diddy. Crowd size will hurt Diddy.
It was a Tootsie Roll. Let's be clear. The size of a Tootsie Roll.
The Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Pop. Yeah, let's go, Nancy. All right, so Roller Skate Girl said it's a rabbit hole that consists of government support that helps Diddy and Jeffrey. Those are the known ones. How many are still unknown? Ann says to bring her name on the stand, told it all. Moms tried saying Diddy extorted her. Hilarious. All right, let's go.
How about that,
He is obsessed with size. He's obsessed with being the biggest star in the world, having the biggest crowds in the world, having the most fans in the world, and none of that is true.
All right, so that's a little bit of what Nancy had to bring to the table today. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we still got to get to what was going on with Mom, and y'all know where I go. You know what I'm saying? To basically get everything that went on today, man. I most definitely got to go tap in with my people. They most definitely gonna put us on point. Here is everything that took place today in the Diddy case. Here go the Punisher right here. But I think that Cassie's mom took the stand first. They finna give us the rundown. Man, continue to hit that like button. Double tap that screen. Get the likes up and subscribe to the channel if you are new, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that half of those people left because they wasn't hitting the like button anyway. Just a whole bunch of haters up in my bushes. Don't be one of those. Take this opportunity to click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you new, man.
Worker who was hired to have sex with Cassandra Ventura in front of Combs. Yes, so Combs faces these charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, transporting individuals for purposes of prostitution. He's pleaded not guilty. The trial continued into day 7 today as prosecutors build their case, portraying the Bad Boy Records founder as this manipulative enforcer who used fear, money, violence to control those around him. So to help us get that special inside scoop on everything that went on inside that courtroom, I want to bring on our very own law and crime reporter, Elizabeth Milner, our eyes, our ears for what is happening there day in and day out. Elizabeth, thanks so much for taking the time. Now, we're going to get into David James.
Boy, this is the most horrible artwork I have ever seen, but at the same time, some of it, This shit is all right. But man, these people be looking like some characters out of comic book in some of these drawings, man. I'm telling you.
Testimony, the former personal assistant of Sean Combs, he continued his testimony. But how could I not start off with Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina Ventura?
I'm gonna let it play for a second. I'll be right back, man. I gotta go get me some more coffee.
Right, if Cassie Ventura is the star witness in this case, having her mother testify, unbelievable. Now, she talked about this moment that Diddy demanded money for one of Cassie's sex tapes. Can you talk to us about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of went down in 2011, so nearly 14 years ago at this point, and it was around the holiday time that this happened. And it was kind of a little bit in relation to the whole Kid Cudi incident and just Cassie kind of pursuing Kid Cudi in a romantic fashion after Diddy introduced the two in the studio. Diddy got upset that Cassie was in this really very short relationship with Kid Cudi. And so around this time frame, again, this being December of 2011, Cassie came home for the holidays, something that her mother, Regina, had said that she often does. She always comes home around the holiday time. So then we see one of the exhibits around that time frame, this 2 days before Christmas of 2011, so December 23rd of 2011. We see an email that we had seen previously when Cassie was testifying, and that was the email sent to Cassie's mother, Regina, as well as Capricorn Clark, who had worked with Diddy at this time frame. And Cassie wrote in this email, the threats that have been made towards me by Sean Combs are he's going to release 2 explicit sex tapes of me, one on Christmas and maybe right before or right after, and another one sometime soon after that. He also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott being Kid Cudi physically, and that it wouldn't be at the hands of it wouldn't be at the hands of Diddy. And so when Regina was testifying today just about this, Jesse, she was saying things like the sex tapes threw me. I knew that he was trying to hurt my daughter. So what she did was she took out a $20,000 home equity loan because Diddy essentially demanded this because Regina said that Diddy was angry that he had spent money on Cassie and Cassie was with someone else. And so Regina had this this loan drafted. Then she got a check after she was able to deposit in her checking account. Got a check, sent it to the Bad Boy account. However, the money was returned to Regina Ventura just a couple days later. According to Regina, the money came back about 4 to 5 days later, and there was no type.
That don't look nothing like. Look at that picture right there. Let me blow it up. Now tell me that don't look nothing like what we think Diddy look like. That, like I said, they must got that other one back in there because that looked like somebody grandpa right there. Man, the artwork in the courtroom is horrible, man. Fire the painter, man. Go find you a better one. Man, this don't make no sense. And the other one most definitely don't look like the mama, man. I'm just saying, man. What is this? What is this? But anyway.
Of conversation with Diddy just about this money even returning into her possession. But from Regina's standpoint, during this, she said that she was scared about her daughter's safety, and that's why she essentially complied with this demand. And so, it was kind of a big sticking point throughout her testimony today. Something that the defense on their end, because we saw some arguments outside of the presence of the jury that they didn't want this testimony in today. They didn't want a jury to hear it. But lo and behold, this testimony definitely kind of changed things up, possibly for just how everyone's kind of interpreting the whole situation, how Cassie is involved, and especially with Regina kind of verifying that this kind of went down. But it was definitely a huge sticking point when Regina was on that stand.
I mean, we knew that Regina was going to take the stand as a form of corroborating Cassie Ventura's testimony. Cassandra Ventura basically testified that she was a victim of Sean Combs' sex trafficking, that she was coerced into these sexual episodes, that she was beaten, that she was threatened. And to have Regina take the stand, we knew she was going to be a form of corroborating testimony. I didn't expect this, the alleged $20,000 payment. The reason I say so much about corroborating testimony is I also understand there was a discussion regarding her taking photos of injuries of her daughter or something of that fashion. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the injuries to Cassie?
I can only imagine how hard it was for Regina to testify about this, because in this, we're seeing exhibit photos of Cassie around this time.
All right, so here goes some pictures they took of Cassie. You know what I'm saying? I guess this one right here shows her with a bruise on her leg, y'all. You know what I'm saying? This shows Cassie with a bruise on her leg that I guess she sent to her mom, you know, for her mom to look at, you know, and document, you know, what was going on, man. Lord, have mercy.
With bruises on her body, something that she had testified to while she was under direct examination and even cross-examination as well too. But as far as Regina specifically goes, we were shown exhibits, photos again around this time frame, that being in 2011, and they showed Cassie kind of posed up. These photos were taken by Regina herself. Cassie had her head shaved at this point, and Regina made it a point to kind of point out to everyone that Cassie had her head shaved from around 2009 to about 2011, and again, these photos were taken.
I see some of y'all down there. I see Ann said Cassie been plotting since the hair shave days, and then somebody else said, yeah, because who takes pictures and never calls the laws? Great points. Let's go.
Around the 2011 time frame, but in that time frame, this was really the first time Cassie had even spoken to her mother about
Make sure y'all subscribing if y'all new.
At the hands of her then boyfriend, that then boyfriend obviously being Sean Combs, aka Diddy. And so Regina also brought up just a blind item that she had previously seen on the internet. A blind item is something that, you know, in my personal time, I do kind of like to look at, and essentially it's just kind of like gossip about celebrities, but they don't necessarily use the names, and it's just ways to kind of get in gossip that sometimes can be true.
All right, so then we got Kiss. Kiss says, what if this was post bondage? You know what I'm saying? A bondage act. This ish comes in levels. Let's talk about it, Kiss.
It's a little fabricated, a little over the top, but in this specific case, Regina recalled seeing just a blind item about Cassie getting beaten in a car by Diddy, and then privately an exhibit photo was shown of somebody named Mia, somebody that previously had worked for Diddy. This was shown privately, so we in the gallery, and I don't even believe that the jurors even saw this photo. But as far as just the photos that we did see today in court, it was just more of those bruised photos, more of the photos that Cassie again had bruises on her body. She was posing for her mom, and her mom kind of kept these photos, I guess, kind of as a way for instances, possibly kind of like this one, where just if something were to happen, they have these photos to kind of corroborate Cassie's stories. But some of were different photos that we had seen earlier in the days of testimony, and then some of them were newer photos as well too, but I think they kind of really hit home with the jury there, just about everything.
All right, so anything for clout, says Maher, and also she texted him after the fact, is she really a victim or a predator like him? Well, that's been up for debate, man. They most definitely been saying some of those things, man. Like she could have most definitely been a willing participant rather than somebody that was afraid, you know, in doing this out of fear. All right, Lady Shireen says Cassie needs to take some responsibility for what happened. She could have left at any time. She ain't and wasn't a minor at that time. Okay. Hey, the ladies are chiming in. Shout out to the ladies in the building. Double tap that screen, though. Get the likes up and subscribe if you new.
I saw her daughter go through during this time.
And I will tell you, I think the prosecution has done quite an exceptional job at proving there was physical violence against Cassandra Ventura. I mean, even the defense seemed to concede that there was domestic violence. But
all right, we got another lady in the building. You know what I'm saying? She says, makes no sense. You're going to keep getting hurt. Keep taking pictures. Keep getting hurt. Never call the cops. Year after year after year. You keep saying you're getting paid. What's your point? All right, let's go.
The testimony, both of Cassandra Ventura and supporting witnesses, the 2016 tape, definitely, I think the jury can make the assumption.
Stephanie said that's extremely insensitive to say. All right, bet. The ladies are chiming in. I hear y'all. I'm reading what you're saying.
Or go to the conclusion that she was physically abused. It does become a question, is that sex trafficking? Is that racketeering? That's a separate legal question. Now, did she also testify?
My guy K-Cell say he believes if Diddy didn't put his hands on her, she'll still be there doing freak-offs. Lady Shireen says, I think the FBI gave her two choices, testify or be indicted. Let's go.
About a phone incident? If so, what's that about?
Yeah, so the phone incident just happened about 5 years later from the 2011 incident, so that means 11 plus 5, 2016. And so around this time was Cassie's 30th birthday. And so Regina had traveled from Connecticut to Los Angeles at the time where Cassie was living on the West Coast to essentially celebrate her daughter's birthday. And so...
hey, we most definitely start a goal of 5 super chats. It don't matter if you even send 99 cents, but click that white button up there that says 0 or 5, man. If you want to donate to the channel, that's all you got to do is click that white button, and send $1, man. We need 5 of them. Let's go.
But what ended up happening was that Regina actually called the police. Why did she call the police? Because Diddy had taken Cassie's phone. Regina got upset about this whole incident, so she just immediately called the police after Cassie had told her about what happened. So what ended up happening on Regina's end is she got into an argument with Diddy outside of Cassie's apartment building. We saw an exhibit photo of Cassie's apartment building at the time where she lived on the 17th story. And she said during this argument with Diddy that D-Rock was present. His real name is Damian Butler, and that's what Regina had referred to him as, his government name, that being Damian Butler, as opposed to D-Rock, the name that a lot of people have used while they've been testifying throughout this trial. And during this, D-Rock was kind of being the middleman in all of this, essentially trying
Shout out to AH, you know what I'm saying, for contributing to the goal with that $2. Appreciate you, big dog. Ain't nothing too small. Appreciate it.
Possibly de-escalate the situation, or at least at the bare minimum just trying to protect Diddy from the wrath of Regina, because Regina said that while this was happening, that Diddy was holding Cassie's phone, D-Rock was in the middle of it, trying to kind of break up everything, and that Regina was admitting that she was trying to hit Diddy during this, because that's how essentially furious that she was. And so what ended up happening is that Diddy later gave Regina Cassie's phone back, but then what he ended up doing was taking Cassie's car instead. And so I think this kind of played into the prosecution's argument that, if something were to happen, that Diddy would take things away from Cassie, such as her phone.
Hey, right here in this picture right here, his son him and his son are identical in this picture right here. That one that looked just like him, yeah, right here, this young Diddy right here, yeah, his son looked just like him right here. The one that I say is his clone.
In one instance, such as her car in another instance. And so Regina said essentially that they ended up still celebrating Cassie's birthday around this time frame.
Yeah,
but the thing is that Diddy wasn't there, so there was no Diddy at this birthday celebration or anything like that, especially after kind of the events that occurred. And even just looking at this time frame, this August 2016 was just a few months after the hotel incident that happened at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. And so I think what the prosecution was doing was, again, trying to kind of drive home the point that if something were to happen, if Diddy didn't like something, that essentially he would take things away from Cassie. Sometimes her phone, again, sometimes her car. But again, at the end of the day, Regina kind of went into mama bear mode while she was even on the stand for the
So Cassie's mom name is Regina, y'all. I ain't even know that.
Part today, Jesse. She appeared very honest. She appeared like a compelling witness, kind of verifying some of the things that her daughter had said while on the witness stand just last week. And so I thought her testimony was possibly very powerful, especially kind of talking about how she didn't know about the physical violence that she endured by Diddy, or even just some of the things that she may have witnessed. For example, this phone incident that happened in August of 2016. And so I found her to be a very compelling witness. She appeared forthcoming while she was on the stand.
All right, so A8 says the extended video was like 15 seconds, and Cassie kept going back in and out that room. We seen that.
Again, even admitting that she at one point was so mad that she even tried to hit Diddy at that time. And so, yeah, I think she made for a very compelling witness while on the witness stand. And I know you might ask me a little bit about cross coming up, but unfortunately, everyone, there was no cross-examination. Probably a good
They
move.
did not cross-examine Cassie's mom, y'all. There was no cross-exam from the defense, which was surprising, but like she said, smart at the same time, because what was they gonna ask her?
By the defense, because what type of questions would they end up asking essentially a victim's mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they were probably of the opinion either they're not going to deny what she's saying, right? They've accepted a lot of this alleged violence, saying it's domestic violence but doesn't amount to a federal crime, or they're of the opinion if we cross-examine her in such a way, perhaps it could turn the jury against us. And there's nothing we can gain from cross-examining what she had to say. So very strategic for them not to cross-examine.
And he says this is a circus, literally. A lot of people been saying that.
Examine her, but important witness nonetheless. Not the only important witness who took the stand. I understand that a man named Sheree Hayes took the stand, who goes by the stage name.
Whoop, here go the Punisher. Look at his picture. Boy, the Punisher is an ugly dude, man. I'm telling y'all, man, he look like a villain out of comic book. Look at this guy, man. Look at his shape, his head, how big his ears is, and then his facial features. Man, that dude look like something out of comic book, man. Lord, have mercy, Jesus. Wow. He looked like the Punisher for real.
Punisher. Now, talk to us about who this person is, because I understand he was hired by Diddy and Cassie. I understand he told the court about one specific sexual encounter with Cassie and Diddy that happened at the Trump Tower. So he was this this male performer who was hired to have sexual relations with Cassie. What happened at the Trump Tower?
So when Sheree Hayes was initially called to the witness stand, I was thinking, maybe he's somebody of Diddy's employees. We're just going to talk about his time working with Diddy, because when he had walked inside the courtroom today, Jesse, he was wearing a suit. He had a nice long tie on. He appeared very professional. And so when he got on the witness stand and said that he was a male exotic dancer, I think a lot of people were just like, oh, okay, he's one of the people. And then that's when we get into the
Tell me about it, Lola. He is most definitely scary.
Surprisingly, he has had since his school days, essentially when he was playing sports and that type of thing. But while he was on the witness stand today, he was really kind of describing essentially just the fantasies that were being played out in these hotel rooms. And so for this, he was paid in the fall of 2012, paid to create a sexy erotic scene. He said he had met Cassie and Diddy after working at some type of club event. And then a woman had called him, essentially saying that it was her birthday and that her husband said that she could hire a dancer. And so the Punisher, or Sheree Hayes, thought initially that...
Boy, that name take me out, the Punisher. Lord have mercy. Boy, I tell you.
Going to be at a bachelorette party, dancing for like a group of women to get them excited for the bachelorette. But then when he went to this hotel, what ended up happening was a woman met him in a bathrobe. She was wearing a wig. And she opened the door, and he later revealed...
Cassie opened the door in a bathrobe and a wig.
This woman was Cassandra Ventura, a.k.a. Cassie. And so this woman, while he was on the phone with her, because he said he had spoken to a woman either on the phone or through text messages, this woman asked to meet him at the Trump Tower and just come straight to the room. He thought it was going to be just $200 for a 45-minute show. And then again, he was greeted by Cassie at the door, again, thinking that he was expecting a crowd of bachelorettes who were excited for this type of performance, but again, it was just Cassie.
Yeah, he thought he was going to a bachelorette party. Turned out to be a freak off.
Inside that room at first. And so he was told by Cassie during this.
Let me tell y'all this, man. The whole way all this play out every time with them going to the way he's saying it, he went to the room, a lady came in a robe, in a wig, you know what I'm saying? It almost sounds like a corn movie, don't it? You know what I'm saying? Think about that. It sounds like a corn movie, something that's too good to be true.
That her husband wanted to put baby.
But it's
her
real.
husband wanted her to put baby oil on each other and just kind of rub baby oil to kind of create this type of scene and play out this fantasy. And during this time, Cassie had handed him $800. So he was told.
Yes, and you hit it right on the nail. She said Cassie was role playing with no problem. Let's go.
On stipulation, he was told specifically not to acknowledge the husband or say anything to him. And then he had noticed that all the furniture was covered in sheets. Over to the side there was some water, over to the side there was some baby oil, and that Cassie and the Punisher essentially just kind of rubbed and applied baby oil onto each other. During this, he says
I'd have been looking at them sideways when they would have been talking about apply all this baby oil. Like, man, what in the entire world is going on? What's up with Diddy and all this baby oil? Astroglide. He got a sick fetish. That is crazy, though, man. The baby oil, he need plenty of it all the time.
The nude man came out, and this man who was essentially nude.
They talking about Diddy.
He had Astroglide, and he recognized the Astroglide because he's an exotic.
Diddy had his Astroglide
used before. And this man had come out, again, he's nude in this situation, but his face was covered. That was the thing. And during this time, the husband, per se, was pleasuring himself while giving Cassie essentially direction. And these directions and these points that he was saying was move to the side or position your bodies a certain way. And so the Punisher said, or Sheree Hayes, excuse me, he had said that this encounter lasted about 25 to 30 minutes. He didn't know it was Diddy being this husband during this incident, until later on. And so he said after this entire encounter, he actually got more money. He got $1,200 after this. And then
Astroglide, Lola, is a lubricant, you know what I'm saying? That you apply to yourself when you're finna do the do, you know, to make it more slippery, more easier to go in and out of, you know, in so many words. It's a lubricant. That's what Astroglide is. Lord have mercy.
Contacted again and again and again, about 8 to 12 more times. And during this, he initially thought Cassie was a woman named Janet because this was the alias that she was using.
Essentially, the Astroglide is WD-40 for your sex life.
Whenever she had contacted Sheree or the Punisher to kind of play out this fantasy, essentially. But that's kind of what it went down at the Trump Tower during the fall of 2012.
Let me ask you this. So it's clear this is quite graphic testimony. And it's clear this may help support the transportation to engage in prostitution charge. If you're talking about commercial sex work, you're talking about...
Swoop said Homeboy walked in like, what in the Johnson & Johnson is going on?
Prostitution, things of that nature. The question if this is sex trafficking all comes down to whether it was consensual or not. Did he say anything in his testimony to...
Well, it's the truth. It is. It's Astroglide is WD-40 for your ex-life. That's for real.
Indicate that Cassandra Ventura was not on board with this? I mean, other than the fact that these seemed to be extended performances that were quite elaborate and intense, did he say anything to indicate to the jury?
Diddy had them in there like they was on a slip and slide. All this oil everywhere, man. Yeah, they just sliding from one room to the next room, just slippery in there.
That Cassie didn't want a part of this and was being forced into this?
Yeah, it was a lot of graphic testimony. Sometimes I was inside the gallery blushing a little bit because it was just so detailed in the way that either the prosecution was asking the questions or even Xavier Donaldson asking the questions under the cross-examination. As far as consent specifically goes, the Punisher, Sheree Hayes, essentially said that he didn't have a thought process on Cassie's level of enjoyment during all of this because they were kind of creating a scene, playing out this fantasy, essentially. And then there was a point where an objection occurred after this was said. You could tell that it was a fetish thing. This is what Sheree Hayes had said while on the witness stand. And then there was an objection from the defense. And so that part was, I believe it was struck from the record. But as far as consent goes overall, he said that Cassie at points would wince and she would sigh at some of the responses, or excuse me, in response to some of the directions that were given by her husband. Or
so basically he testified in saying like Cassie wasn't with. Literally, he felt like Cassie wasn't with what was going on because every time Diddy would tell him, hey, flip her over. All right, hit her from the back. All right, do it from the side. That every time it was time to do something, Cassie would be like, she would kind of, like she didn't want to do it. That's what he was saying in his testimony.
Diddy at the time, and that she was kind of seeking cues, and then another objection by the defense, but that objection was overruled. But so they were able to kind of get in that she was essentially seeking cues from the other man inside that room. That man now we know to be Diddy. And then even he was asked just about drug intake and drinking intake, or alcohol intake, I should say. And he said that he didn't see Diddy doing drugs or drinking during this. And I think the prosecution is trying to kind of drive the point that he wasn't under the influence of doing anything while this was kind of going down, that this was intentional and that type of thing. But then they kind of get into times where he was explaining, he being the Punisher, was explaining that he was experiencing anxiety performing essentially because there was another man in the room.
Ballin said everyone who is inside the courthouse listening is getting ideas to try. They're about to be new freak-outs. Let's talk about it.
Yelling directions, and to the point that he just felt like he couldn't necessarily perform because, again, another man in the room kind of making him nervous, kind of making him anxious. And so it was a lot of graphic testimony, some stuff that I just won't necessarily go into. But as far as whether or not Cassie was consenting to these activities, it seemed like from the Punisher's standpoint that he sometimes couldn't gauge whether or not Cassie was really feeling it or whether or not she just was just taking direction by what he had thought to be her husband and that type of thing.
Fascinating discussion with, I mean, we knew that he might take the stand because Cassie had mentioned a Punisher last week.
The Punisher.
What happened on cross-examination? Specifically, wasn't he asked about a book that he wrote or something?
And he most definitely promoted his book, Freezer Meat.
Well, I gotta say, you know, despite having the name, an exotic dancer name, such as the Punisher, Sheree Hayes actually came off like a very nice guy while he was on the witness stand. He seemed very friendly. He was answering all the questions. If there was something that he didn't necessarily recall, he was very forthcoming about that. And so despite having kind of this aggressive name that he had used kind of as a nickname, you could say, just for his other life, that again, he appeared like a very nice man. But as far as the book goes, he had written a book just about kind of his encounters with Cassie and Diddy, but not necessarily naming their names in this book. But it was at least 6 pages in this book out of maybe an 150-page book. But this book was called In Search of Meat Freezer, an interesting book title.
In Search of a Meat Freezer, that's what it was. Yeah, AKA Freezer Meat. Let's go.
But it was essentially just about his problems performing, and just that he was talking about how he had gotten an implant for his genitalia during this. And so whenever...
Boy, that took me out. I did not know you can get an implant inside. Man, look, that sounds painful. I could never. I'm glad that I was blessed by God in the beginning. I don't have to worry about nothing like that.
He was cross-examined by Xavier Donaldson, who did the cross. He was asked about this book. And so initially...
Let's go, kids.
He was asked about, you know, being the co-owner now of Hunkelmania, which is an exotic dancer service. And he now owns a website called GetPunished.com. And this is something that he's been doing for about 30 years. And it was interesting because I made in my notes, Jesse, that Diddy was like nodding, and he was nodding his head, looking at it.
All right, so once again, who is this guy right here? You know what I'm saying? See, I'm telling y'all, Diddy look different in every sketch, man. Who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who that don't even look nothing like no Diddy. Man, who is that? Man, I think they got a clone in the courtroom. I'm starting to agree with some of them people at first that were saying Diddy ain't in jail. Because what in the entire world, who in the entire world is this? I don't know who that is. That don't even look nothing like no Diddy.
Attorney, he was pulling up his chair pretty close at the defense table. Couldn't tell if he was trying to gauge the jury during this testimony, but Xavier Donaldson was like, so you believed Cassie felt comfortable with you. Did you have feelings for Cassie? You thought you were the only one doing this type of activity with Cassie. And I felt like the defense was kind of trying to do similar to what they had done with Daniel Phillip, another exotic.
Look at that one right there, man. What is his name right there? Y'all know that's that dude from which one? The Fantastic Four, the Thing. Is it Thing? You know what I'm saying? The Thing right there, boy, they did horrible on this one. Man, I swear all these people be looking like people out of comic books. I put it on my mama.
Dancer who was a part of these types of sessions.
Yeah,
he was on the witness
that's
stand,
who it
kind of just insinuating that these escorts had feelings for Cassie, and the Punisher essentially said that he didn't have feelings for Cassie. He was asked about telling the entire...
He looked like the Black Green Goblin of Spider-Man. Y'all know the Green Goblin character? You know, when he put on all that stuff? That's who the Punisher looked like. He looked like a black version of the Green Goblin.
Higher truth as far as the government asking him to tell the truth. But in the 2023 interview, he had told the government that I guess he had feelings
Lex
for
Luthor,
Cassie,
let's go.
but,
All Jaguar,
The
right?
Punisher said that was taken out of context. And then at this point, the defense is kind of starting to ask for a play-by.
Baby, y'all see the Johnson & Johnson logo. You know, they showed a whole bunch of the stuff that they found inside of Diddy's crib in his hotel room when he was arrested. Yeah, look, they done pulled out the baby oil.
Play of the baby oil rubbing and just kind of how the Punisher does strip teases and all of this stuff. They were again trying to drive home the point of whether or not Cassie was consenting to this activity, or maybe that Cassie felt comfortable with this activity because the Punisher kept coming back during these instances. So as far as the references in the book about Cassie and Diddy specifically,
y'all didn't know? They said, when did the labels become green? Man, that is the freak out version of Johnson & Johnson. You got to be elite to get a bottle of green Johnson & Johnson, man. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't, you know what I'm saying, participating in the freak out, you can't get the green bottle, man. You know what I'm saying? That is that's a special brand, that's a special blend right there, and you know what I'm saying? That's a special blend. Yeah, hey, that costs top dollar. You know, you gotta be one of them people in order to be able to get you a green bottle of Johnson & Johnson.
Did own up that he did make references to them in the book. He referred to them as a married couple, said that their story again took about 6 pages in this, and he kind of sensationalized the story for the book. Now at any moment I was just kind of in the courtroom thinking that they bring up the book or put up the book as an exhibit or anything like that, but essentially they didn't. But they kind of talked about how he essentially was having trouble performing, and so he wrote this book as kind of like a self-help type of book to kind of just kind of talk with other men just about the same kind of problem. But I think that from the Punisher standpoint, I should say that he was kind of driving home the point that after this one encounter where Diddy was kind of making him nervous essentially by being in the room, giving directions, that he just couldn't perform. And so he essentially just wrote a book off of that and just...
Diddy, you is a nasty fella, dog. You is a nasty dude, boy. They putting all your business on the street. You a sick individual, Diddy.
Kind of used that one point as part of an example. Again, they didn't show the book or any exhibits during this testimony as far as the book and any type of pages of the book or anything like that. But I thought it was an interesting point and an interesting title, to say the least, In Search of Meat Freezer. So
you won't. I don't think any of us are going to forget that title anytime soon. I will say this much: it seems to me the value of his testimony is not he's the smoking gun to prove that this was all coerced sexual events, but a freak off happened. These freak offs happened. They were intense. They were elaborate. Sex workers were paid. Sometimes the prosecution, they just have to establish that fact before they move forward into what they're ultimately trying to prove to convict Sean Combs. So, valuable witness. I'm not surprised we heard from him. I want to circle back.
The Punisher had the implant, Cash. The one of the workers that they brought in. He was the one with the implant.
I want to circle back to the beginning of the day. So we heard the continued testimony of, this is Diddy's personal assistant, David James. So he was also back on the stand today. And he testified that as part of his job...
All right, so Diddy's personal assistant also took the stand again today.
As a personal assistant, he had to do a number of things. And he had to set up the hotel rooms for Diddy. Now,
okay, this is the guy that we heard about, you know, in the beginning. That said he had to clean up all the leftovers after the freakouts. You know, blood, you know, sheets, you know, baby oil, Astroglide. He was responsible for picking all that up and tidying up.
I'm going to ask you what exactly that entailed and what he did, because to have the employees, to have the assistants, to have the security guards testify, that is key to the overall racketeering charge. This pattern of alleged criminal activity, a pattern of freak-offs being set up, that Sean Combs, remember, racketeering conspiracy, can't do it alone, that he operated this criminal enterprise. There have to be multiple people who helped him. I was really looking forward to David James's testimony to see if he ultimately moves the needle on the racketeering charge. So, if anybody wants to read the indictment of Sean Combs, it talks about how employees helped set up the hotel rooms for Diddy.
Yeah, I remember
what did he say that entailed?
Yeah, and so again, for everyone who doesn't know just yet, that David James had worked for Diddy for a 2-year time period from 2007 to 2009. And so he said during this time that his responsibilities included setting up the hotel rooms. He didn't necessarily book the hotel rooms as part of his job responsibilities, but these hotels were booked under Frank Black, and that it was an alias that Diddy used often. And so how they would kind of talk about these
hotels was booked under Frank Black. That's a heck of a name, man. Frank Black is what Diddy used to book his freak off hotel rooms.
Setting up the hotel rooms, as they would call it, advancing the hotel.
Diddy, aka Frank Black. Let's go.
Hotel rooms. And so he would bring personal items to the hotel, such as clothes, such as toiletries, such as food. An interesting food thing that Diddy apparently likes is applesauce and Jell-O. And we learned in court today that Diddy
applesauce and Jell-O. Ugh, that sounds like a heck of a mixture right there. Diddy likes, yeah, man, what in the entire world? Applesauce and Jell-O. Wow.
He puts applesauce on his cheeseburgers, and so that I thought was just kind of an interesting point.
Diddy puts applesauce on his cheeseburgers. What?
Very interesting to kind of say just about that entire thing, but that was during Cross that we had learned that kind of little tidbit. But as far as just other items that he'd bring in other
let's go, Panda. What's up?
Included skincare, razors just for men. David James would say that he would just get a key from the front desk and then set up the room, just go straight up and do that type of thing. But here's where I think the prosecution was kind of going. They were talking about how he was required to always bring a medicine bag and a personal Louis Vuitton bag or an LV bag. And essentially inside this personal Louis Vuitton bag,
absolutely balling weird as hell.
Personal items like that, but the money was a lot of money. It was about $10,000. I don't know about you, Jesse, but unfortunately for me, I do not have just $10,000.
Man, listen, woman. To Diddy, $10,000 is $10. He a billionaire. 10 grand ain't nothing to him.
Around in just a
he wipe his butt with $10,000
bag or anything like that, even in my bank account. But not to kind of out myself there, but as far as just the LV bag and who normally carried this bag, it was normally security that carried in the bag. And so inside the LV bag, which he described as kind of being like a briefcase type bag, that there was also a medicine bag inside that bag, and that's where we kind of learn more of what normally.
That's where the Tootsie and the cane was at. Let's go.
Diddy was kind of carrying, and again, remember this time frame was around 2007 to 2009 when David James was working for Diddy around this time. So inside that medicine bag,
where are all the victims who came to YouTube? Some of them turned out to be liars, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Some of them turned out to be liars. 9 more likes to 300. Man, y'all get the likes up. Most definitely double tap that screen, man. Let's get those likes all the way up. What's up, Bobby?
Bag was pills, Viagra, pills to increase sperm count, he says, ecstasy, Percocets, and that David James would replenish supplies if ever needed to with his own money. Then he would be reimbursed by Bad Boy to get his money back. But here's the thing, Jesse, is that there were certain items that were paid for in cash in order to not be going through the Bad Boy. And I think this kind of plays a little bit into count one, that items such as condoms, lube, Astroglide, prophylactics were all paid in cash. They were not paid on the card. He would get cash essentially from security guards like Bonds that he had mentioned, and they essentially just didn't want a money trail going through Bad Boy. But what another interesting point is that David James had said on the stand that it wasn't just women like Cassie specifically staying in these hotels, that other girls would stay in these hotels as well too. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting revelation as far as, you know, he wasn't replenishing these hotels to kind of just set these rooms up for Diddy and Cassie specifically, that these rooms were set up and other women would go to these rooms as well too. Again, from that 2007 to 2009 time frame when David James was working in Diddy's employment.
Now, I also understand that he talked about Diddy having some sort of footage of him. I don't know, maybe as a way to blackmail him, intimidate him. Again, important.
Diddy got footage of everybody.
Characteristics, elements to talking about Sean Combs' alleged criminal empire and getting people to do what he wanted. What did we learn about that?
Yeah, so David James, when he's inside that courtroom, he appears just kind of very just straight and narrow, appears very honest and forthcoming, and he seems like he took his job as as a personal assistant to Diddy very seriously, like he takes his other jobs. And so he admitted that during his time under Diddy's employment, that at one point he had taken drugs like ecstasy. And this was during a New Year's Eve party. He says that during this time, he normally doesn't...
The assistant. They put the assistant on it, man. You know what I'm saying? They had him taking drugs too. Wow.
Partake in drugs or necessarily too much alcohol, but during this particular...
Y'all think Diddy might have ran up in him after he started getting him on them drugs? Hey, man, ain't no telling.
New Year's Eve party, he was vibing, he was enjoying himself, something that they referred to as Diddy bopping a little bit. There was light laughter in the courtroom kind of during this part of the testimony that David James was talking about how he was drinking Ciroc. Again, this being a New Year's Eve party, they were all enjoying themselves. But he says the day after, Diddy was reviewing this footage because, you know, we have to think about Diddy during this time frame. He's a very high profile person, and that he had a videographer there at this New Year's Eve party, and this videographer filmed the entire party. So the next day, Diddy was reviewing this footage by the videographer, and this is what David James said that Diddy had told him. I want to keep this footage in case I ever need it. Now, it's unclear whether or not maybe at the time that this was happening, that this was kind of a joke and jest, but from what David James had said on the stand, he kind of took this, that this might possibly be a threat. But from my understanding, I'm just kind of like, how could it be a threat if you're just like vibing and enjoying yourself, you're not being inappropriate or anything like that? But again, David James kind of took heed to this statement that Diddy had allegedly made to him, and thought that this should be taken as a threat and taken very seriously. So that was definitely a point that they had talked about during his testimony this morning.
Did he also talk about security measures that and specific procedures that Combs' security team took, which again, very important to understand who Combs surrounded himself with, who he relied on, what were actions, if you take the allegations as true, that this criminal enterprise engaged in. So what about security measures?
Yeah, so some of the security measures even included having employees take lie detector tests. So, for example, there was a time frame, he couldn't remember what point it was, at what year, from 2007 to 2009, but a Cartier bracelet went missing. And for those who don't know Cartier...
Man, all I can tell y'all is, this is some of the weirdest stuff I ever heard in my life, man. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. As I sit here day to day and listen to all this nasty stuff Diddy was doing, and I just be like, man, Hollywood is weird as hell. No cap.
It is very, very expensive, something I definitely cannot afford right now. But David James says that he was at a hotel. He got a knock on the door. The knock was from Uncle Paulie, somebody who had worked security for Diddy. And that security essentially went through all of David James's belongings, and that he felt like he couldn't tell Uncle Paulie no about going through his items, through his personal belongings. And David James had talked about how some of the other staff may have allegedly stolen, or at least that other items were stolen from Diddy during his time working with the then mogul. But he said that David James said that he had to take a lie detector actually twice while on the job. He said another instance is when cash went missing, that David James had to take a lie detector test during this. He said it happened.
Oh man, Diddy was hard-nosed on him. He made his personal assistant take a lie detector test when some of his money came up missing. Hey, Diddy say he was ruling with an iron fist. Lord, have mercy.
In his first year of working for Diddy, and called the experience pretty intimidating. He again felt like he couldn't say no in order to continue to keep his job. Then he said a second time that he was hooked up to a lie detector test, that Diddy's watch was stolen, and he took another lie detector test at the same location. It was this big building that he described with somebody who had previously worked in law enforcement.
So Diddy, they saying that Diddy basically had the laws in his pocket. Because I was finna say, where do you go? You can just set up a lie detector appointment. Yeah, man, I want to know if this boy is lying. You know what I'm saying? Let's hook him up. That boy don't play. Hey, Lack, that boy ain't playing not 1%. Diddy ruling his empire with an iron fist. Yeah, if you take some of his, he don't believe you when you say you didn't do it. You got to go take a lie detector test. Let's go.
And doing the lie detector test, Diddy wasn't inside the room when this lie detector test was administered.
I have no idea.
David James. and the administrator of the lie detector test. And he said he's the lie detector administrator, per se, noted that David James felt a little more nervous this second time around. And David James, while he was on the stand, says he did take some items from Diddy, but that they were...
Well, he admitted to being a thief, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You got to get rid of your personal assistants. They be stealing from you. Say that he was on the stand. He said, all right, yeah, man, I ain't take whatever he said that I took. But I most definitely have stolen some stuff from him, man. I bet you have, dog. I bet you was in there stuffing your pockets full. I don't blame you, though. Let's go.
Bottles of Ciroc, a brand that Diddy has represented a number of times, as well as a pair of Sean John jeans, because he says that...
He stole some Sean John jeans, all right.
He was a huge fan of the brand, a huge fan of just the clothing line.
Well, we ain't getting, no, you was just in there stealing. If you stole some jeans and you stole some Ciroc, you probably stole that money too, because you are a thief, dog. What are we saying?
So he said that he had taken some Sean John jeans, but he said he never took the money or the watch, and he actually passed the lie detector test.
I think he took the money and the watch. He took the bottle of Ciroc and the Sean John jeans. Why would we believe he is still the watch and the money? I'm just saying.
But one thing I thought that was interesting is that Diddy hated when people had stole from him, which kind of makes sense a little bit, right, Jesse? You have a big, giant staff. You're a rich mogul at this time. A lot of people working, a lot of people coming in and out. Then your items are stolen, and then you're trying to figure out essentially who stole what and why did they steal that type of thing. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting point, mainly because I'm trying to figure out, again, kind of how that kind of plays into the RICO conspiracy.
Yeah, the personal assistant was in the mind of, man, he rich. He ain't gonna miss. If I just take this little $10,000 in this watch, he ain't gonna miss it. You know what I'm saying? He a billionaire. You know, if I just take these jeans, he ain't gonna miss it. He got 1 million pair of jeans. If I just take this Ciroc, he ain't gonna miss it. He runs the company.
Because maybe it's possibly other celebrities also kind of do these types of work whenever something happens inside their home, whether or not items are stolen. Kind of how do you get to the bottom when things like that happen within your staff and your employees? And so right as we were kind of getting into the end of the lie detector portion, David James had mentioned that Capricorn Clark, who had also worked for Diddy, who had been mentioned a number of times throughout testimony since the trial began, also took a lie detector test because a loose diamond fell out of a chain. And then they were talking about how at one point they swapped the chain for fake diamonds. It was just like a whole thing. So it's
golly, boy, they was hitting Diddy up. You know what I'm saying? Took his real chain and swapped it out for one with fake diamonds in it. A stone came up missing out of one of his real chains. Look, man, you got to keep your head on a swivel when you're rich, especially when you're working with people who don't got it like you got it. Because sometimes they'll most definitely steal, man.
Seems like from David James's testimony that this was something that happened often, as far as, you know, trying to make the employees or the staff kind of fess up if they were to have stolen something by doing an intimidating process.
Diamonds wasn't dancing, Panda.
I get it. I see what the prosecution's doing there. I'll tell you one thing that's different between Diddy and other celebrities. Suge Knight. Let's finish up the courtroom recap with Suge Knight, because we know Cassandra Ventura had testified last week about this incident where she and Combs, I believe, had finished a freak off. Somebody comes in, says that his rival, his enemy, Suge Knight, is at...
Oh, Suge! Hey, man, Suge told a story the other day that I seen regarding Eazy-E, man. Tripped me out, said that Dr. Dre was the one that really wanted Eazy-E gone. I said, wow. He talked about the phone call where Dr. Dre was willing to pay money, and then he needed proof. He wanted to take a picture of Eazy-E unalive.
Mel's Diner. They pick up, they leave, seemingly maybe to go attack him. So you think about Cassandra Ventura, this environment of alleged violence, alleged threats, you know, intimidation, guns. This goes to the overall theme of a criminal enterprise. It goes to the overall theme of force, fraud, coercion, and sex trafficking, what she was around, why she felt maybe the need to comply with Diddy if he's a violent character, taking those allegations as true. But Suge Knight came up today in David James' testimony. What did he say about Suge Knight?
What's up, Polo?
Well, the entire incident is why he no longer works for Diddy or even works for Bad Boy at this time. And so This incident happened in the fall of 2008. At this time, they were coming back from the studio. Diddy wanted cheeseburgers. Not sure if he wanted applesauce on these cheeseburgers or anything like that, but essentially that they were just going to go get food from a place over in California called Mel's Diner, somewhere that David James has says he had been a number of times before. And so David James had said during this that he had driven over to Mel's Diner. D-Rock was riding shotgun, i.e. in the passenger seat. And then D-Rock said to David James, that's that mother effer Suge Knight. So then they get out of the car. D-Rock said to Suge Knight specifically, what's up? It's
Now
me.
remember, I showed y'all last night where Suge Knight attorney said, man, there's no truth to this story they keep on telling about Diddy going down there to go see Suge, because Diddy was terrified of Suge Knight. That's what Suge Knight attorney said.
Biggie's boy, you're in my
What's
city.
up, Gillian?
And for a lot of people who may not know, there was a huge East Coast versus West Coast beef, where it's kind of Bad Boy versus Death Row Records. Obviously, Suge Knight and Tupac on one side, that being the West Coast. Diddy then going by Puff Daddy, Puffy at the time, and Biggie, Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., whatever you want to call him, kind of represented the East Coast. So the beef goes back for decades at this point, because again, this happened in 2008, but still, it kind of ranged true a little bit today as well. But around this time, David James has said they went inside to order some food, and then more SUVs arrived. And then he saw one person actually hand a weapon. This is what David James had said while he was under direct, hand a gun to Suge Knight. And D-Rock had told David James that we have to go back. And so what did they end up doing? They went back to Diddy's home. And
well, I hope all is well over there where you at, Gillian. Gillian says they got tornado sirens going on. Hey, let me tell you, they teach you in the country, man, you know, go to your storm cellar if you got one, you know, your storm shelter, or you can always just get in the bathtub or a closet. You can get in a closet, you can get in the bathtub, put a mattress over the top of it, you know, and pray some more.
So once they arrived back to Diddy's home, Diddy and Cassie were arguing outside. David James.
D-Rock is one, and D-Rock is one of Diddy's longtime friends. You know what I'm saying? / bodyguard type dude who was arm to arm with Diddy.
Explain, and Cassie was essentially telling Diddy not to go down there, not to just go and I guess try to confront Suge Knight, allegedly. And so what ended up happening, according to David James, is that D-Rock, Diddy, and David James all went to find Suge Knight. David James had explained while he was on the stand that Diddy had 3 handguns just sitting in his lap while he was...
Yeah, I don't know if getting in the bathtub will save you, but that was one of the things they used to tell us to do when I was a youngster. I remember it like it was yesterday. They were saying if you don't got any other place to go in your house, you can always go in your bathtub with a mattress, you know, and put it over the top of the bathtub. I don't know if it really saved you or not. Yeah, I ain't never had to try it. I'm just saying. I don't know, man. It seemed like it wouldn't do much, though, because once that tornado come through and that wind go to pulling, you ain't going to be able to hold that mattress on top of that tub. Yeah, it's gonna get you and the tub the hell up out of there.
Riding in the backseat of the car, but that David James had driven back to Mel's Diner. It took about 10 minutes to get there, and essentially they were going to confront Suge Knight, but what ended up happening is once they got to Mel's Diner, there were no more SUVs when they had returned, and that Diddy actually told David James to kind of circle around, see if they could find Suge Knight anywhere, and this is where David James is...
Cass said they having tornadoes too, and he in the basement. Man, prayers for y'all, man.
Essentially, like, this is the first time I thought my life was in danger. He really possibly thought that a shooting was going to go down, a big confrontation, that this really could get possibly bloody and terrible if, you know, those two were to kind of come to a head. But David James says that this was essentially the reason that he quit. He didn't like that his life was in danger. He said he ended up giving a 6 months notice shortly after, so that way he could train the next personal assistant to come up. And he said by May of 2009, because again, this incident happened in fall of 2008, by May of 2009, David James was no longer interested in working there. He didn't want to even go off to other different ventures, kind of in the Diddy sphere, because he says that he was offered other jobs in other kind of departments between, again, that Diddy sphere of all just the different business endeavors that he was working on at that time. But he said no, he didn't want any part of it and left his job position in May of 2009.
And what happened on cross-examination? Because this is a key witness, right? This is another member of Sean Combs' inner circle. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more who testify, maybe a possible chef who will testify, maybe go to the forced labor allegations.
Hey, TC.
But what had happened on cross-examination, real quick?
Yeah, as far as cross-examination goes, this was done by Mark Agnifilo. And Mark Agnifilo was really kind of trying to pinpoint as far as just what happened and what occurrence in this type of chronological order. And then at one point, Mark Agnifilo was like, did you speak with the government this morning? This morning being as far as today. And David James, while on the stand, was essentially like, I can't recall what was talked about just this morning between federal prosecutors and himself. But essentially, the prosecutors were telling him what to kind of expect during cross-examination and just Mark Agnifilo's type of style. There was a little light laughter in the courtroom. But Mark Agnifilo was kind of trying to drive home the point. If David James can't remember what happened a couple hours ago, how can he remember an incident that happened in 2008? Now, there was another key point, Jesse, that they were talking about during his cross-examination, and that they brought up Chef Jordan during this cross, again, by Mark Agnifilo with David James. And there was a point where they were kind of trying to talk about this incident that happened with Chef Jordan. This happened in Miami. Chef Jordan was essentially trying to tell David James how to do his job. And during this incident, David James admitted to grabbing Chef Jordan by both of her wrists and saying to stay in her effing lane. And this incident ended up being reported to Bad Boy HR. Diddy ended up speaking with David James afterwards. But what was interesting, Jesse, is that Diddy told David James not to put his hands on a woman. And so,
look at Diddy trying to be the gentleman. Don't put your hands on a woman. But Diddy, you is going ham, you know, on everybody around you. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Talk about the good guy.
Whenever the redirect happened, they were trying to drive home the point. They, being the prosecutors, were trying to drive the point. Diddy told you that Diddy might have
that crazy,
Chef Jordan after telling David James that you can't.
Lord have mercy.
Obviously, we know of the other instances of physical and physical violence that happened throughout the relationship with Cassie. And so this incident between Diddy and Chef Jordan.
Diddy coming out the top rope on women, you know what I'm saying? Dragging them through hotels, blacking their eyes, you know, all type of stuff. But gonna tell somebody else, you know, don't be putting your hands on women. Boy, if you don't stop, he must have been high that day.
It happened in Alpine, New Jersey. Diddy asked David James to file a police report saying that Chef Jordan was actually the one to hit Diddy first. And David James says that he essentially just lied to Diddy, drove around to that area, never filed the police report because he didn't want to file a false report. And so I think that, you know, during the cross-examination, while the defense was trying to kind of poke holes, the prosecution kind of, you know, brought it back a little bit as far as being like, you were instructed to file false police reports at the instruction of your boss. And so I could see where both the cross was going with this, but also the redirect was going. But overall, I felt like David James's testimony, he seemed, again, pretty honest while he was on the witness stand. He seemed very forthcoming with this whole Chef Jordan incident that involved David James specifically. But overall, those were just kind of the big moments of his cross-examination and a little bit of his redirect.
I don't know how much that's going to stick for the jury if Diddy says don't put a hands on a woman when there's tape of him allegedly doing just that.
Exactly.
Before I let you go, Elizabeth, I got to ask you about the jury. I know it's sometimes impossible to know what they're thinking, what they're paying attention to, but sometimes you get a little bit of clues. A lot for them to listen to today. Can you glean anything from how they were reacting to testimony or not reacting to any testimony?
Yeah, for the most part, the most non-reaction I would say I got from them is when the Homeland Security investigator was kind of testifying, because, you know, Jesse, we know how these kind of testimony goes. It's very, very specific, and it takes a little while to just kind of drive home the point a little bit. But as far as just the other impactful witnesses that were on the stand today, such as Regina Ventura, the jurors, from what I could see of them, were directly focused on her. Again, some of these jurors, they look back at the prosecutor or even the defense attorney who's doing the questioning, they go back to the witness on the stand. And so for the most part, we're just in the second week of trial. And from what I could see of these jurors, they're still very invested. They come in, they take their notes. But I did think one funny thing is that we kind of got court held up on a delay, at least this morning, mainly because 4 jurors were late to court this morning because there were some train issues that, we can all understand us who live in New York City and that type of thing. But these jurors are pretty hard to read. I can't tell if they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking or what we are in the press are thinking, those who know a little bit more about the case. But it's really sometimes hard to tell because they're not very overly emotional. Even when they had that graphic testimony and that kind of sexual testimony that was going on when Sheree Hayes was on the witness stand, there wasn't kind of the reaction or even necessarily the blushing that maybe we in the gallery were kind of subjected to just a little bit. But man, they are hard to read, that jury, I will say.
Yes, they are. A lot for them to consider, and it's only middle of week 2. Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much for your great reporting, as always.
Thanks, Jesse.
And that's all.
All right, so that's pretty much, the rundown of the stuff that took place in the courtroom today, man. You know what I'm saying? We seen that the assistant came back. We found out he was a thief. You know what I'm saying? We had the Punisher come through and found out he had a dysfunction, you know what I'm saying, as well as work done to his manhood, that just really tripped me out because I didn't even know you can do stuff like that, as well as Cassie's mom, who gave a very good testimony in which she didn't even get cross-examined, because they ain't even really have no questions for her, so far. What you think, Mahel? Think he gonna beat it? Man, he still got a shot, man. They haven't really proved the RICO situation, the coercion, you know what I'm saying? None of the stuff that really they put on the table, they ain't even proved. To me, so far, the only thing that they have proved is that Diddy is guilty of domestic violence. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. That's all I've seen so far. Let's get another rundown real quick from CNN, see what they talking about. They say drugs, cash, and guns. Jurors hear new testimony against Diddy.
The dots between Diddy's business and his alleged abuse of Cassie Ventura and another victim. How? By using witnesses to try to link Diddy to firearms, cash, and control. We heard from a male escort who said Diddy controlled everything about the freak-offs with Cassie. And Cassie's mother, she also took the stand, testifying about taking a home equity loan out to wire Diddy $20,000.
That 20K is wild, man. Diddy demanded, you know what I'm saying, that he get that 20K. I don't know what was that. Did anybody know what that 20K was about?
Now, the last witness on the stand today, he tied Diddy to some pretty serious weapons. Remember that 2024 raid on his home in Miami Beach? Special agent in charge testified that he found parts of AR-15 rifles in Diddy's master bedroom. He says the serial numbers were also scratched off. Police also found items that others previously testified.
Oh, okay, that's right. We found out that the 20K was to keep the freak-off tapes from coming out. That's what it was. I bet. Shout out to my boy Ballin for keeping me on point. I be forgetting. What 20K from the 30 million she took from him? Let's talk about it. Anything for clout.
Freak-offs. High heels, sex toys, baby oil, Astroglide, and lingerie. And speaking of those items, tonight we're seeing images from the first time of what investigators found at the New York.
All right, so this is what they found inside of Diddy's house when they went. You see, he got pills, he got Jolly Ranchers, he got some more pills over there, look like some Cialis. I don't know if y'all can see it. I blew it up. Let me unblow it up so we can see it, so y'all can see everything. But yeah, man, Diddy was most definitely on it.
Hotel where Diddy was arrested last year.
This is what they found in his pocket when they arrested him. That's that pink right there they be talking about, y'all. It don't even look like drugs, but at the same time, that's a powerful concoction. You take that, you won't know if you going or coming. Lord, have mercy, Jesus. Wow, hold up. That's that Tootsie right there, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about the Tootsie Roll that Nancy and them been talking about. I'm talking about that Tootsie, the drug, man. That's crazy, y'all. All of this was found inside of Diddy's, on his person and inside his room when they arrested him that day, when he was getting off the elevator.
Seized Perhaps you guessed it. Baby oil, lubricant, drugs, and cash.
Whoop, there go the baby oil, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Baby oil Diddy. Diddy the baby oil king. You know what I'm talking about? He most definitely had bottles upon bottles upon bottles of baby oil. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Woo!
Now that lines up with what Diddy's former assistant testified to today at trial. Now he said he was tasked with stocking Diddy's hotel rooms, but he said he didn't go through the company to get reimbursed for these supplies. Instead, he went to Diddy's security team and claimed that they would pay him back in cash from the rapper's Louis Vuitton bag. He also testified that the bag could hold $10,000 or more in cash, telling the court, I just think because they were items that he didn't want to have a record for.
All right, so there go what he really looked like as well. You know what I'm saying? That's his real picture. David James.
Now, one of today's other witnesses was a male escort known as the Punisher, a nickname he says comes from his basketball playing days. He took part in Diddy's freak-offs with Cassie as well. And he said Diddy would direct all aspects of those encounters. The escort testified, quote, Diddy would at some point come into the room, sit in the distance, give subtle directions to Miss Ventura based on, like I said, angles and lighting, positioning, and sometimes the sexual activity. We also heard from Cassie's mother, who testified about a payment that she wired to Diddy after Cassie told her that he was threatening to release 2 sex tapes. Cassie's mom said Diddy asked her for money around that same time to quote,
That do not look like that woman we seen a while ago that I showed y'all. I told y'all this artist need to be fined.
Recoup money that he had spent on her daughter. The prosecutor asked, quote, why did you go to the bank and take out a $20,000 loan? Cassie's mom said, I was scared for my daughter's safety.
Elle.
She was asked what she needed $20,000 for, and she said to pay Sean Combs. And when she was asked why she needed to pay Sean Combs, she testified, because he demanded it. Now, the prosecution made a bombshell reveal over who we can expect to testify this week. They plan to call Scott Scuddy. You know him as Kid Cudi.
All right, so here go the next witnesses that we can look forward to hitting the stand. We got Scott, which is Kid Cudi. We got Dunn Hughes, clinical psychologist. And we got George Kaplan, former Diddy employee. You know, these are the 3 that's coming up right here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So be ready. We most definitely gonna cover them when they. Hey, so Kid Cudi a snitch, right? Y'all know they always talking about snitches, this, that, and the third. Kid Cudi taking the stand makes him a snitch, right? It most definitely does.
Remember, Cassie testified that Diddy got irate when he found out she was dating Kid Cudi. The prosecution also plans to call a clinical psychologist as well as a former Diddy employee who quit, apparently, after allegedly witnessing physical abuse. Get right to CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister, who saw all the testimony in the courtroom today and has been following so closely. The assistant, the former one, David James, took the stand today about an incident that could have actually turned tragic, and it involved
Polo say he ain't a snitch, he a civilian. I bet.
A rival of Diddy, Suge Knight. Describe.
Yes, so with putting this witness on the stand, it appears that the prosecutors are really trying to get into this racketeering claim, showing that they allege Diddy was running this criminal enterprise through his businesses. So this former personal assistant, he worked for Diddy from 2007 through 2009. He was hired by Bad Boy, so an employee of that company, of course, the company that Diddy was the head of. Now, this instance that you brought up, he told this story to the jury, which was after a late night recording session in the studio. It was about 3 or 4 a.m. and Diddy said he wanted some late night food from Mel's Diner, a famous place in Los Angeles. So they go to Mel's Diner. It's the assistant and one of Diddy's security personnel, who they called D-Rock. They get there and they see Suge Knight. As you said, Suge Knight, of course, is a longtime rival of Diddy. Well, they go back to Diddy's home in the Hollywood Hills. This is when the personal assistant said he actually saw Cassie outside the home fighting with Diddy, arguing, basically pleading for him not to go. But Diddy wanted to go. So according to this former assistant, Diddy said, we're taking this car, drive the car. They get in the car. The assistant says he turns around, looks in the back seat, and Diddy has 3 handguns on his lap. That is what he testified to.
Gangsta Diddy with the handguns.
They go back to the diner. Suge Knight is no longer there, but he said that Diddy was demanding, yelling at him, saying, keep driving around. He wanted to find him. Now, again, nothing happened because he wasn't there, but here's what the assistant said on the stand. Quote, I was really shook up by it. You know, this was the first time being Mr. Combs' assistant that I realized that my life was in danger. He said that right after that.
No, you didn't. When he hooked you up to that lie detector test for stealing, you knew your life was in danger.
Put in his notice at the company.
He stayed for about 6 more months to try to train his replacement, but that was really the end for him of why he wanted to work there. That wasn't the only witness today, though. We actually heard from Cassie Ventura's mom, which the defense didn't want to hear from, and a lot of people thought, I wonder why she's testifying. Would it be gratuitous in some way? Would she move the needle in either direction? But she talked about being scared for her daughter's safety and this $20,000 loan. What happened?
So let me get to that in a second, but first I
don't know, Panda. I
that
feel
was
you
shown
though.
to the jury as an exhibit in court. This is an email that Cassie sent to her mother and Capricorn Clark, who was one of Diddy's employees.
Under an alias, right?
Under an alias. And yes, here's what she wrote. The threats that have been made towards me by Sean Puffy Combs are that he is going to release 2 explicit sex tapes of me. One
them text messages
before or right after, and another sometime soon after that. He also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott Muscuddy, you said, Kid Cudi, physically. He made a point that it wouldn't be by his hands. He actually said he'd be out of the country when it happened. So Cassie's mom testifies on the stand. When she read this email, she was physically ill. And of course she would be. This is her daughter. She's scared for her life. So then she said that Diddy demanded that she pay $20,000, as you said, because he was upset that Cassie was with another man. That would be Kid Cudi. And he said, I spent $20,000 on your daughter, so you better pay it back. Now you have Diddy, who at one point was a billionaire, but at this point at least is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and is allowing the mother of his girlfriend to take out a home equity loan to wire the money. He accepted that money, but then he sent it back. Now I want to bring up one more exhibit. There are photos of...
They said Diddy accepted that money, but hold on. They didn't tell us this a while ago. She just said he accepted the money, but he sent it back.
Cassie with bruises on her body that were shown to the jury loan to wire the money. He accepted that money, but then he sent it back. Now I want to bring up equity loan to wire the money. He accepted that money, but then he sent it back. Take out a home equity loan to wire the money. He accepted that money, but then he sent it back. Now I want to bring...
That's going to help the defense. Watch what I tell you. She took out that $20,000 loan, sent it to Diddy, and then Diddy sent it back. Oh, wow. We didn't hear that at first.
Bring up one more exhibit. There are photos of Cassie with bruises on...
He didn't keep the money, y'all.
...her body that were shown to the jury, and Cassie's mom said she's the...
He didn't keep the money, and he didn't drop the tape.
...one who took those photos of her daughter when she visited home for Christmas.
It's pretty unbelievable to think about the dynamic of Sean Diddy Combs asking someone for $20,000. The intimation, of course, that he returned it later on once Diddy and Cassie were back together in some way. What about Kid Cudi? Are we really going to hear him testify?
We are, according to prosecutors. This was, as you said, the big reveal today. So Kid Cudi could be on the stand as soon as tomorrow, Laura. We may be seeing him tomorrow. If not, they said Thursday, but definitely this week he is expected to testify. Now, what will we hear from him? We're going to hear probably a corroborating account to what Cassie said, which, as I just kind of got into, she was dating Kid Cudi for a brief moment.
Good question. Ann says, but you let the mother let her daughter go back, but yet claims to be so worried about her. He asked for it to show her power and sent it back to let him know he don't muff with me. Huh? Redo that, Ballin'.
In 2011, when her and Diddy were what she said was on a break but a rough patch. They were together very briefly, then her and Diddy got back together. But Cassie testified last week that when Diddy found out that she was dating Kid Cudi, he got enraged. He threatened her safety, as we saw in this email, and he even said that he wanted to blow up Kid Cudi's car. Now, Kid Cudi has said around the time that allegation came out, which first was revealed in Cassie's civil suit back in November 2023.
I don't know. This whole blowing up the car situation is going to be hard for them to prove. Because you just got Cassie saying that Diddy said he wanted to blow up the car. Unless they got some text messages or a voice recording, that's to me is like hearsay. You know, because they don't have any proof basically to say that Diddy did it.
Kid Cudi said that is all true. So it'll be pretty amazing to see that moment in court if he confirms in front of the jury that his car was blown up.
But even if he do confirm that his car was blown up, they still can't just pin it on Diddy, because him and Cassie could have got together and concocted this story and said that she overheard Diddy say this, and maybe Diddy had nothing to do with it. Now, I don't know if he did or he didn't, but I'm just saying, unless they got some form of proof, a text message, a recorded phone call with Diddy saying that he was going to do this, it really most definitely can just be hearsay. You know what I'm saying? For real. Well, hey, Miss D, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm just saying, though. All right. So we walked down the whole entire situation when it comes to Diddy and everything that took place today. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow, it might be Kid Cudi, might be one of those other two people that we seen, but I'm most definitely going to walk y'all down. We're going to walk that down as well. 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you pull up. All right. So we've been keeping up with this Jaguar Wright interview, you know, for the last couple of days, man. Let's get a little bit more of Jaguar's take on all of this that's going on. I think this time she spoke on Tory Lanez and Jay-Z and them, as well as some more of the Diddy situation. So let's get back into Jag, man. You know what I'm saying? She most definitely been a prominent figure in this whole Diddy situation. She been speaking out against it before it ever made headlines or went to trial. Let's see what she say. I think where we stopped, she was finna get into the Tory Lanez situation. Let's let her get into it. Shout out to everybody that's still in the building. Double tap that screen, get them likes up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you new. This is Everything News, man.
Because that happened right before his situation happened.
Yeah.
And I said if he was going to go to jail for something.
Hold up, let me rewind it.
He say he didn't do that.
Hold up.
I made it interesting.
Interesting.
Why is everybody not talking about the elephant, or should I say the camel in the room?
No.
I think she's talking about Jay-Z calling him a camel.
You know, Tory Lanez's father had said we need to be looking that way. He tried to tell us. We need to be looking that way.
And instead, his lawyer that was supposed to be representing him, who failed beyond belief, ended up with a television series called Reasonable Doubt.
Man, Jaguar is a character. Let's go.
Let's just be real. How many times have y'all heard me say, he didn't do that? I made it very clear. I wasn't even finding him.
Talking about the Tory Lanez situation.
Still a little pissed off about what he had done to August Alsina. Because that happened right before his situation happened.
Yeah.
And I said if he was going to go to jail for something, he should have gone to jail for what he actually done. But they enjoy putting cases on people for things that they didn't do. It's a humiliation tactic. How many bad cases have been put on me to try to humiliate me, ruin my character? Now, Kelsey's bodyguard, it literally took Tory almost being unlocked on a brick machine to get him to realize this has gone too far.
And that was a question that a lot of people was asking. with this bodyguard coming forth in the Tory Lanez situation now, after he got poked up in jail, you know, why did you let him sit there in the first place if you knew that he was innocent? Why did it take for him to get poked up for you to come out and tell the truth?
That press conference is going on now. I told everybody that boy needs to be released from jail before something happens to him. And now I'm sitting here looking at DDG. You know, everybody that says no to the Jigga Man always seems to end up in some kind
And the Jigga Man is Jay-Z, y'all.
a bad situation. I know, I said no to him. Who was it? Didn't King Von say no to him too?
Man.
She done implicated King Von, said that King Von said no to Jay-Z too. And basically, look what happened to him.
A lot of people that say no to the Jigga Man seem to end up either with a bad case or just no face, no case. But they not friends. Even though Diddy said he was his main strategist. The person that he went to get him out of trouble, his brother. The only other person that can call him Sean.
Yeah, and that's what Diddy said. Diddy said that that Jay-Z was the only person besides his mom that can call him Sean. You know, he referred to Diddy as his brother. And then all of a sudden, Jay-Z comes out and say that him and Diddy was never friends.
Should because Jay doesn't speak on none of this. He doesn't even acknowledge that this is happening at all.
Yeah, that's two kinds of mental illness. That's great delusion. Just like him and his wife. And this Cowboy Carter foolishness. You know, I sang it to her before. I should have sang it to her husband. Stand by your man.
Lord.
That's your man, ain't it?
Uh-oh.
$100,000.
That's your man's.
You and the diddler.
The diddler.
You should be sitting there with him. Period. Rather than sitting around finding drunk attorneys, alleged drunk attorneys down Biscayne Bay with questionable offices in Little Havana to put me in lawsuits for things that I couldn't have possibly done because I was sitting in jail for the first case you had put on me that you used my first ex-husband to do.
She's saying that Jay-Z basically was part of the reason why she was sitting in jail. Say that he had her ex-husband, you know, basically fabricate a story and get her locked up.
Isn't it interesting? The trap that he set for me then is my alibi now. People need to stop with these lawsuits. It's becoming embarrassing for them.
And you mentioned DDG, and it's interesting, you know, with the Haley Bailey and, you know, their connection with the Carters.
All right, so the DDG and the Haley Berry situation, y'all know they just recently split after having a kid together. And man, this guy done been going through it, as well as, you know, they've been fighting and all type of stuff. Jaguar alleges that there's some kind of connection with them and Jay-Z and them.
Or just to fall on DDG, where he's like, it seems that if you're connected with the Carters, from Megan Thee Stallion, from Halle Bailey, that...
Oh no, we can go all the way back. We can go back a lot further than that. Why is Chris Brown in jail? Right now.
Yep, and Chris Brown is most definitely in jail right now, overseas, and can't get a bond, man, over an old case that has resurfaced, man. She basically tying this to Jay-Z now.
Oh yeah, come on.
In London.
Correct. I mean, what he did is somebody in the head with a bottle. I mean,
are we sure that actually happened?
Hey.
Are we sure that he was left with no choice? I'll never forget, not long after that whole foolishness between him and Rihanna, And he went to do, what was it, Good Morning America, to do a performance. And they gaslit
What's up,
him
Lawnmower?
so bad in that green room. And he
Kiss, I ain't never know that the Carters could have anything to do with that either. But that's what Jaguar is saying, man. That's crazy.
freaked out on their asses, and he should have, for what they were trying to do to him. And then they made sure that was publicized. Then they just arrested him in Texas too. Last year, we talked about that, right?
Yeah, that was a fight. That was an altercation on some gang activity, I guess. I don't know.
There's a bunch of gang for a dancing man. Not a gang. For a man that sings and dances.
Very questionable.
Let's look at the lineup. Rihanna was signed to Jay-Z. Chris Brown wasn't playing ball the way they wanted him to. The next thing you know, he gets labeled as a woman abuser, and then they put the dogs on him. Oh, you beat up a woman, and oh, you did this. It's funny because they all beat up women too, allegedly.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, man, listen. I don't know why Jaguar ain't been pulled into somebody's courtroom with all the allegations that she throw out there against Jay-Z and them. Lord, she be on J-Top, man. I ain't playing, but Jag ain't talking about the hurt she put her moms through. Before, man, she ain't talking. Well, she talking about everything else, though. Lord, I'm surprised they don't ever bring her in.
Some I've seen. I'm just trying to figure it out. Can't nobody else be women beaters but y'all?
Kind of like what we heard about Sean a while ago, telling the chef dude, you know, don't be putting his hands on women. But then Diddy turned around and doing the same thing. Let's go.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you wanted something. Jeez.
You got Rihanna? She done it to the... And Haley is signed to the baby, which means she's signed to the Jigga Man. Her baby daddy, didn't nobody know that she was pregnant until right before the end. And then it was all wonderful and it was great. And then all of a sudden, he's not treating her right. And whoopty-whoopty-whoop. Are we sure that's real? Because she got a restraining order against him. He said that he was defending himself from her, just like Chris Brown was defending himself from Rihanna in that car. She said she had a chip too. But then again, it was also noted that that chip was too, it was broken before this incident.
Yeah.
So that was just going back, and we just snatching up everything that happened and then throwing it in there. That's what we doing. Keke Palmer and Paul dude.
Yeah.
Also attached to the Jigga Man and the Diddler.
Lord have mercy, man. Everybody's attached to Jay-Z and Diddy. Let Jag tell it. Dang, Keke Palmer and her man too? Wow.
And from what I remember, Keke's baby daddy is also a Diddyite as well, and been messed over by the Diddler. Allegedly. And then the whole thing blew up with Usher disrespecting that man all over his woman. You see? Do you see how they put their little minions out there?
Yeah, I see. Jeez.
Why is it? And then it brings us back to Megan and Tory. Why he always putting these whack ass bitches?
Lord.
On men that he can't control. Or men that tell him no. And then the next thing you know, they tell him no, and then everybody's in court. Everybody's a woman beater. Everybody's got restraining orders. Guess what? As long as he's got that restraining order on him, he can't legally carry a firearm, which means if anybody run up on him, oops. Liquid handcuffs, paper handcuffs.
Come on.
That's what they do. we it's like Tory.
Now, Jack, we got to get your take because
This Jaguar be something else, man. I swear to God.
everyone probably has some type of freaky nature in their past. I guess I don't know, but when you hear stories about when you hear stories about where Diddy he likes for the man
What they got going on? Ain't a freak.
to hear the stories of a man ejaculating on Cassie and then him and Cassie, Diddy and Cassie going to another room to rub it on his nipples.
Disgusting. Lord, have mercy. What do you got to say about that, Jag?
You hear things like that. Is it like is that like wow? Like, are you wowed by that? Like, wow, I didn't know he got down like that. But
Matrix, and I was very well trained. I've heard all kinds of.
Well, she said she was a dominatrix, y'all. You know what I'm saying? She admitted it.
All kinds, and most of that stuff that I've heard, it lines right up with the weird world.
Yeah, man, y'all need to start tapping in. We've been knowing about this this alleged situation that happened for a couple of days now, right, Chat? With the rubbing of the man juice on the chest. Yeah, we've been knowing. If you just now heard that, you're late, about 2 days late. You better stop tuning in to everything else and check in to Everything News, man, at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You know what I'm saying? Because we most definitely be over here on top of everything going on, man.
But see, those are usually, paid for transactions. That's not a relationship. See? That's not a relationship.
Come on.
You had a concubine. Bought and paid for. She was your personal party favor for over a decade. Number one, people that deal in the body fluid, it just kind of irked me. Because I don't get it. And what I'm not getting is why in God's name are people still trying to make it seem like he's not gay? Well, actually, he isn't gay. He's a sodomite. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But clearly, this is a man who loves man-on-man interaction.
Man, and that is disgusting. Double tap that screen, y'all. Most definitely get those likes up. We almost at 280, man. You know what I'm saying? Double tap that screen. Get the likes up.
He like it so much, he wants to just nourish his skin. I bet he puts it in smoothies.
Disgusting.
Extra protein. Well, see what I'm saying is, these aren't things that a straight man would ever be involved in. Ever. There is no straight man who loves women vagina that would ever be interested in these things. So why are we sitting here scrutinizing the validity of his relationships with women when men that like that kind of stuff, they're not really capable of loving women? So then why was she there?
Oh, wow. You know, she says that men who enjoy that type of thing ain't capable of loving women. Basically saying Diddy ain't love no woman.
She said she thought she was in a monogamous relationship. She thought that.
Well, I mean,
I guess they talking about
I'm
Cassie.
sure for a minute there until she popped up and Kim was there.
All right, so then we go with the Kim Porter situation. Remember, they said that Cassie used to laugh at the abuse of Kim Porter at the hands of Diddy. You know, saying that when this first all kicked off, that Diddy used to have Kim Porter eating a box of Cassie, and Cassie would laugh.
What, Gina was there? Or whoever was there? Or Misa was there? Or whoever was there? Just because a guy tells you you're the only one doesn't mean it's true. But you're more likely to believe it the younger you are because you're still stuck in that Disney fantasy.
That's real. That's real.
This is a kid. Let's remember, she was 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old. She came from Connecticut. She didn't come from Hell's Kitchen. She came from Connecticut. And even though Connecticut do got hood, it ain't New York. She was a deer in headlights. And she was constantly being distracted with little carrots and little bottles along the.
She says that Cassie was like a deer in headlights that was being distracted with gifts and drugs.
Wait, you'll be in a movie. You'll be a big star. And then all the women around her, oh girl, you know, this is what you gotta do. This is what you gotta do. This is, man, you better be happy that look, you put up with this, I promise you, you're gonna be able to write your own ticket. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop.
You know, when they seized 1,000 bottles of baby oil, to hear how because I was like, you know, that's a lot of baby oil, but to hear like how much was used during these freak-offs, again, are you surprised about the amount? Like she said, they would go through bottles, large quantities of bottles, 4 or 5.
I was wondering when they was gonna bring out the you know, the slip and slide.
Right, might as well.
Which is what I said a while ago. You know what I'm saying? Diddy was treating them like a slip and slide. Lord have mercy.
Is that what it was? The slip and slide. No friction.
No friction whatsoever.
That is a kink. That is a kink.
No, that ain't no kink. That's just straight nasty. You want to make sure that you can slide into anything. And considering what that girl said about the size of his manhood being like a jumbo Tootsie Roll. He'd probably get in somebody's ear or nose if he wanted to.
Wow.
He'd just slide on with everything. Where can I fit? Put me in, coach.
Jaguar done made a Tootsie Roll joke.
This is crazy. Crazy. All of it. Crazy.
We have to speak for the other side too, Jack, where, you know, today, of course, the defense started their questioning of Cassie, and they presented text messages where Cassie showed that she was ready for the freak off. She wanted them, asking Diddy, when's the next one? I'm ready to please you. I'm ready to do for you.
She was ready to do whatever he wanted to do so that she could have what she was promised.
All right, so Jaguar says the reason why she was texting him and saying that she wanted to have freak-offs, this and that, is because Cassie was willing to do whatever Diddy wanted her to do, you know, in order to get whatever it was that she was promised. All right.
The only thing that proves, those text messages prove nothing more. You know how many guys I told them whatever they wanted to hear? Lots. That's what I used to do when I was kicking it with an executive or two. People from Comcast. You know, when I was kicking it with an executive or two. People over there, Sony. You tell them whatever they want to hear. Because they write the checks. They approve the budgets. She wanted to be a star. Period. Only thing those text messages prove is that she was willing to tell him whatever he needed to hear. There's also text messages of her saying...
But hey, at the same time, if those text messages are saying that she was telling him basically whatever he wanted to hear, well, he wasn't forcing her to do anything, though, Jack. See what I'm saying? It still works out for Diddy, because he wasn't forcing her to do anything, even if she was allegedly promised something. She was still calling him, saying, "Yeah, I want to have freak offs." He asked, she say, "Yeah." That's not force.
Why don't you ever really spend any real time with me? I'm not interested in your money. Why don't you want to spend time with me? Good questions for a woman who's asking questions. The question is how long did he keep up the charade that he actually cared about her before she realized he didn't?
But even if he was keeping up a charade, Jaguar, and acting like he cared for Cassie, and he really didn't, that's still not forcing her to do anything.
Everybody
misleading her, yes, but forcing her or coercion or anything like that, that doesn't prove that, Jag. What's up, Super Troll?
These games. Let's not act like that's not real. When a dirty old man comes at you, do you think that little white girl, the 25 grand a cheap girl, meant half of the stuff that she was saying to Shannon Sharp? Of course not.
Yeah, she seemed like she set him up from the jump. I don't know.
He set himself up. I'm just curious when it's finally going to get talked about that allegedly it was Kevin Hart that set the whole thing up to make sure it happened because he was pissed off that Shay let Cat Williams tell the truth.
Uh-oh, so she done threw out another allegation, man, saying that Kevin Hart was behind the situation that's going on with Shannon Sharp because he was mad because Cat Williams, you know, basically exposed everything that was going on Club Shay Shay. Wow, so I'm going to put allegedly on that because I don't know if it's true or not. Hey, but she said what she said.
On his show. Wah, wah.
Come on, hold on. They say Shaq also had a bounty out.
The story was that Shaq did it so nobody would know.
And I did hear about Shaq as well.
Allegedly that it was little Kevin Twinkie Hart. And let's not forget his appearances at Diddy parties with remote controls and dildos on the bed.
Lord, have mercy. Man, Jaguar don't mess with none of them. You know what I'm saying? Jaguar most definitely is running it down through there, man. She is running it down through there, man. That's crazy. She done put allegations on Kevin Hart, you know, basically being behind, you know, the situation going on with old boy. You know what I'm saying? Shaq probably tried to smash Angela Reese. Maybe, I don't know. Allegedly, that's what I'm going to say. You know, Night Jalen, they just excusing all her bad actions. Listen, man, you know what I'm saying? This Diddy case is most definitely something, man. And Jaguar Wright, like I said, has been a fixture in it before it was ever a case. She been speaking out against Jay-Z and Diddy the whole time, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we're gonna break it right there. You know what I'm talking about? We'll most definitely pick up on this part tomorrow, you know, but my hands most definitely tied. It's almost 4 o'clock. We've been in here 3 hours. I walked down everything I was supposed to walk down. We talked about the Diddy trial as we were supposed to. We talked about Cassie, you know, mom taking the stand, and the Punisher, who we found out had some work done to his manhood, and I didn't even know you could do it. I just don't understand. That is crazy. We also most definitely heard from Jaguar, you know, and her views on what's going on, man. But unfortunately, y'all, all good things must come to an end. I did an 8-hour show earlier, 3 hours over here, man. I done spent most of my day on the internet. It's time for me to get up off of here, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I hope y'all got some information that y'all did not know, and I hope that I brushed y'all up on a couple of facts of things that y'all already knew. You know what I'm saying? We'll most definitely be back in the house tomorrow, 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, to cover whoever takes the stand tomorrow in the Diddy case and the things that unfold, man. Make sure, you know what I'm saying, if you haven't hit that like button, you hit it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that if you're not subscribed to the channel, you subscribe. Shout out to the one person that sent me something towards my super chat goal that we didn't reach over here of 5 super chats, even if they was 99 cents. I mean, for the show that I put on late night, most definitely show me some love. On the next one, I guess we'll try again tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to anybody that got a membership. Shout out to anybody that gifted a membership. Know that you are most definitely appreciated. What's up, AC Shakur? You know what I'm saying? You just now making it. But we finna exit stage left because my hair got to get some rest before I start having bags up under my eyes, man. I can't be having no bags. I got to go to sleep. But anyway, y'all, I most definitely appreciate. Thank you for that gift, Miss D. I most definitely appreciate everybody in the building. Y'all make sure y'all pull up on me tomorrow. We'll have the latest and breaking news on whatever's going on. We'll most definitely finish this Jaguar video probably tomorrow, man. And like I said, I hope y'all enjoy the show. So y'all already know what this means. Hey, man, stay safe in the street, in the real world, as well as these YouTube streets. You never know what's going to happen. Most definitely keep your head on the swivel. And with that being said, y'all already know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Your host, Mahel, about to go get me some shutout. And I guess the Sidewalk Gang is checking out. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, man. Make sure y'all pull up on me. 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Even if YouTube don't send you your notification, you know exactly where I'll be, man. Y'all be safe. I'm gone.